Welcome to Mets Baseball 85, brought to you by Bud Light, the light beer with the first name and taste. Everything else is just a light. By Nissan, builders of technologically advanced cars and trucks for over 50 years. For the driver who demands quality, the name is Nissan. By Manufacturers Hanover, the financial source worldwide. And by RC Cola. People go out of their way for the taste of RC. Live from Wrigley Field in Chicago, it's Mets Baseball 85, as this afternoon, the Mets take on the Chicago Cubs. Pitching for New York, it's Dwight Gooden, 22-4, with an ERA of 1.57. And going for the Cubs, Johnny Abrego, who is 1-0, with an ERA of 4.86.
Well, hi, everybody. I'm Ralph Kiner, along with Tim McCarver and Steve Zabriskey for the final game between the Mets and Cubs this year. The Cubs have won only 4 of the ball games, but that fourth one was a devastating win over the New York Mets. Mets losing yesterday 5-4 in the bottom of the 9th inning when the Cubs scored a run with 2 men out. So, Tim, the Mets will have to regroup and, again, go for it all.
Well, it's a good guy with whom to regroup, and that's Dwight Gooden. To give you an idea of how young Dwight Gooden is, Johnny Abrego, the starting pitcher for the Cubs today, is 1-0 in his major league career. In his last start, he won against the Philadelphia Phillies. He's 23 years old. On the other hand, Dwight Gooden, 22-4. He's 30-5 going back to his last 9 starts last year. And if I were going to regroup and I needed a stopper, he'd be the guy that I look to and for.
And, of course, the Mets have Gooden on the mound, and they will be playing their final game here at Wrigley Field. They move on to play the Pirates 3 ball games, and then they go to St. Louis for 3 big games there. At least the Mets hope they'll be big games, as they hope to stay close to the St. Louis Cardinals, who lead by 4. Cardinals winning last night again. And the Cardinals are a red-hot ball club. You certainly have to give them credit. They have really been doing the job.
Well, they've answered all challengers in the National League East. They beat the Phillies last night. They have John Tudor going against the Phillies tonight, and the Phillies will respond with their best pitcher, and that's Kevin Gross. So the Mets have to win today, and it is getting to a must-win situation.
The Mets have run out of losing ball games, and they have to come up with big victories. Right now from Wrigley Field, our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
national anthem, and the Mets in their final game with the Chicago Cubs this year. The Mets have won 13 of the 17 games played against the Cubs this year, and the Mets won all 9 of the games against the Cubs this season. The first time the Mets have ever swept a 9-game series against any ball club at Shea Stadium or the Polo Grounds, as a matter of fact. They won 2 other series, 6-0, against the Dodgers and the San Diego Padres in previous years. Mets with a record of 92-60, trailing St. Louis by 4 games. The Cubs have won 71, lost 80, and they're 24.5 games out. In the Western Division of the National League, Cincinnati 6 games back of the Dodgers. In the American League, Toronto leading the Yankees by 6, and California and Kansas City still close in their contest to be the winning division winner in the American League West. The Kansas City Ball Club 1/2 game back of the California Angels. It's a cold, dreary type day here in Chicago. The temperature around 60 degrees as Johnny Abrego will be going for the Chicago Cubs. 1-0 in his major league record. He has never faced the New York Mets, and he'll be on the mound for the Cubs. He has worked 16 2/3 innings. He has given up 16 hits while walking 9, striking out 10. And this will be his 4th game start of the year and his 5th appearance on the mound. Johnny Abrego.
And the lineup for the Mets, Mookie Wilson leading it off and playing center. Wally Backman, the second baseman, batting second. Keith Hernandez will be at first base and hit third. Gary Carter, and he has been hot. A big grand slam home run in yesterday's game, his 2nd of the year and his 9th lifetime. Gary batting 4th. Darryl Strawberry in right field will hit 5th. Danny Heap in left field this afternoon batting 6th. Howard Johnson, the third baseman, will hit 7th. Rafael Santana playing short and batting 8th. And Dwight Gooden with his first major league home run in last Saturday's game batting 9th.
And we'd like to remind you this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the New York Mets and WOR TV and is intended solely for the private non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the New York Mets and WOR TV is prohibited. Well, you're looking at the north side of Chicago and now looking at Johnny Abrego. Johnny, the original selection of the Phillies in the draft back in June of 1981. He was the Phillies' #1 selection. After 4 years of varsity baseball, basketball, and football at Mission San Jose High School in Fremont, California. He was selected by the Cubs in a minor league draft from the Philadelphia Phillies Portland Ball Club in 1982. He missed the entire season with a bad arm and now is making a comeback. He started the season at Pittsfield in Double-A ball with 6-6. And he had a minor league record of 26-25 before winning a ball game here against the Phillies in his first start. And the first pitch to Mookie Wilson, a called strike. Mookie batting .281 with 5 home runs and 23 RBIs. Since coming off the disabled list, Mookie has been hitting well. And this one drilled into right center field way back. It is going off the wall. Mookie on his way to second base and holding there as Mookie Wilson leads off with a double. That's his 25th hit since coming off the DL list.
Well, a breaking ball on the first time that Mookie Wilson ever faces Johnny Abrego. Little backup slider, and Mookie hammers it to right center field. And you couldn't tell by the way the wind is blowing, as it's blowing from left to right, that wind would help that ball, but it certainly looked like it did.
So Mookie coming up with his 16th two-base hit, and the Mets have a runner in scoring position with no one out here in the first, and Wally Backman coming up. Wally hitting .276 with 1 home run, a total of 38 RBIs. And the breaking ball, a called strike. The umpires for this game, Charlie Williams behind home plate, Randy Marsh at first base, Billy Williams the umpire at second base, and John McSherry the umpire at third. Wally Backman hitting .364 against the Cubs this year with 20 base hits. Runner at second base, no one out.
Abrego stared off 2 sets of signs by Jody Davis, and when you're using a rather complicated system of sign selection with a runner on second, you have to go back through a set of signs as opposed to shaking off just one. That's why a lot of hitters step out with a man on second.
And Backman taking the fastball to count 1 ball and 1 strike. In this ballpark, there's been a history of sign stealing from center field, so you really have to be careful about your different signs that you do give.
Yeah, but Jody doesn't. I mean, if the home team steals the home catcher's sign, something's wrong.
That's a little tough, isn't it? Well, there's nothing wrong with putting somebody out there if you're a Met. And that pitch is low, and the count at 2 balls and 1 strike.
Back in 1960, when I was 18 years old and with the Cardinals, there was a lot of that going on from that television booth where they keep the center field camera, and Johnny Keane sent Bob Miller, the starting pitcher, on the following day up in the stands to check on. He didn't know who to check, though. They had so many fans up there. Who do you check?
Now Backman squares and bunts it foul, so the count at 2-2. Al Worthington, who was a major league pitcher, pitched for the White Sox, and the White Sox had someone in center field taking the signs and relaying the signs to the hitters. And Worthington, who would have been the benefactor of all that, refused to pitch. Said, I don't want to be a part of any ball club that would use such devious methods to obtain winning victories. I guess all winning victories are winning victories.
Well, does that mean if a man on second base relays a sign to the hitter that that's cheating too?
That's what he thought.
Well, that's a foolish outlook in my opinion from a guy on second.
And a drive to left field, and it drops in front of Hatcher, and Mookie goes over to third base on the single. Backman got a single just like that yesterday, and a runner thrown out at home plate by Hatcher. This time Mookie doesn't attempt to go, as he had to hold up to see whether or not the ball would be caught. That'll bring up Keith Hernandez. Hernandez hitting .296 with 10 home runs, 84 RBIs. He has set a new major league record for game-winning RBIs with 22.
I guess that means if you're a hitter, in Worthington's case, you can't look fastball, right?
No, you
that's cheating.
can't guess. That'd be cheating.
That's stretching the moral issue, I think, a little bit too far. But I could understand, I guess, a guy who feels that way when they're gotten from the scoreboard or somebody like that.
Or they say all is fair in love and war, huh? Breaking ball for a strike call, so Keith Hernandez with a 1-strike count. Keith with 10 home runs, 84 runs batted in, hitting .296. 0 for 2 in yesterday's ball game.
Oh, boy.
And now Backman picked off at first base, and he is tagged out.
Finally saw that play work. That might be the first time that I've ever seen that fake to third and then the throw back to first. Tell you, that's a new twist to that particular play. Backman caught flat-footed at first base. Oh, man.
Bad bit of base running by Wally Backman, and the Cubs get their first out. Now a conference at the mound as Jim Fry goes out there.
Probably going out there and say, hey, I like that move. Nice going.
Well, usually the pitcher will fake the throw to third and then stop his motion and then turn and throw or go over to first base. In this case, he just sort of went through the whole entire motion right on to first.
Yeah, that's the new twist we were talking about. And, of course, you have to step off when you do that. And he did step off, and he did it so quickly that I guess they're talking about Keith Hernandez with 1 strike on Hernandez, what Jimmy Fry wants him to do. Of course, yesterday they intentionally walked Hernandez, and Gary Carter hit a grand slam home run after that intentional pass. They're moving the infield in because they're going against Dwight Gooden.
Figuring that they will not score many runs in this ball game. So the infield is being brought in for a play at the plate, and Hernandez takes low in the count, 2 balls and 1 strike. Mookie Wilson, the runner at third base. 1 man out, top of the first inning. This ball ripped to right field. It'll be a base hit. Mookie comes in to score, and the Mets lead it by a score of 1-0. So once again, Keith has put the Mets on top. 3 straight hits by the Mets.
Fastball right down Broadway, and Keith Moreland has to respect Hernandez's power. Base hit all the way, and Mookie scores, but the Mets could have runners still on first and third and nobody out. But that good play by Abrego nailed Wally Backman at first base.
That brings up Gary Carter. Carter hitting .288, leads the club in home runs with 31 and runs batted in with 95.
That for Hernandez, by the way, is 85th RBI of the year. He's second to Carter in RBIs.
And the first pitch is low for ball one. Carter has had 4 home runs and 15 runs batted in his last 11 ball games. Grand slam home run yesterday, accounting for all the scoring for the Mets in a loss of 5-4. And he misses a fastball, 1 ball, 1 strike. Carter has tied his all-time high for home runs in the season with 31. And the grand slam yesterday was his 9th of the year, and 9th of his career, and his 2nd of the year. And that pitch is outside. 2 balls, 1 strike. Abrego with a very unusual pitching motion as he goes to the set position. Then he raises his arms up extremely high. Should be really a good man to run on. Gives you a little more time to steal a base. And the fastball fouled off of Jody Davis. 2-2 the count to Gary Carter, who's hitting .371 against the Cubs this year with 7 home runs and 18 runs batted in. Mets leading by a score of 1-0. 1 man out, a runner at first base. And we're in the top of the first inning, and Carter now asks for time. Cubs in their last 31 home games have a record of only 6 wins. Throw over to first base, and Keith is back. Carter 1 for 4 yesterday, but that big grand slam home run, the base hit, gave the Mets the lead of 4-1, and that was all the scoring for the Mets as the Cubs rallied to come back and win it in the bottom of the 9th inning with 2 men out, 5-4, and that ball just fouled, so the count stays at 2-2. Mets have won 92 ball games. Their 2nd highest win total ever in 1969 when they became the world's champions. They won 100 ball games in the year in the regular season. Won 3 straight in the playoffs, and then won 4 out of 5 in the World Series game with Baltimore. And this ball hit in the air to right field. Moreland is right there, and he makes the catch. Hernandez back to first base and 2 men away. That'll bring up Darryl Strawberry, who was 0 for 3 yesterday, hitting .269 for the year with 25 home runs and 70 RBIs.
Darryl has really been in a funk for the last 4 or 5 games. I assume that thumb has given him some problems, but he has really had a lazy bat. He has not been swinging the bat hard.
And he takes the first pitch for ball 1. Darryl against the Cubs has had 13 hits. 5 of them have been home runs, and he has driven in 11. Batting .382 against Chicago pitching this year. And he misses a fastball, 1 ball, 1 strike. Darryl had 3 home runs in 1 game against the Cubs here in this ballpark this year. And that one just does miss. 2 balls, 1 strike. Jim Hickman, the first Met to ever have 3 home runs in a ball game. Then it was Claudell Washington, Dave Kingman, and Darryl Strawberry. And a drive to left center field. Hernandez on his way to second base, and now on to third as the ball is bobbled by Denier. The throw goes into the first baseman, and Strawberry takes advantage of the bad play by going to second base. So a bad throw by Denier, and the Mets with runners at second and third.
Well, he might get 2 errors on that play. The first error, that one, preventing Hernandez to go to third, and the second one on the throw. Where he was throwing that ball, I don't know, but I would imagine sometimes when you turn around and pick up somebody in a white uniform, you pick up, unfortunately, the first baseman. And there were 2 errors given on that play.
And it brings up Danny Heap, and Heap takes a breaking ball for ball 1.
Sometimes I guess when you pivot out there, Ralph, and you would know better than I, but you're looking for the white uniform, and sometimes just any white uniform. It looked like that Dernier just threw it to Durham, who was way off first.
I made a mistake on the uniform, no doubt about it. This one topped out to the shortstop side. Dunston has to wait for it. Now they'll throw to first base in time, and that will be the final out of the inning. So the Mets get 1 run on 4 hits in the inning. There were 2 errors and 2 men left on base, and the score at the end of 1.5 inning to play here at Wrigley Field. It's the Mets 1 and the Cubs coming up. Now, a word from Bud Light. Dwight Gooden on the mound for the Mets with a record of 22-4, an earned run average of 1.57. Gooden leads the major leagues in ERA. He has worked a total of 258 2/3 innings, given up only 181 hits, walking 63, striking out 251, and he has given up 13 home runs. Gooden with a 4-0 record against the Cubs here at Wrigley Field and Shea Stadium.
And the lineup for the Cubs, Bob Dernier leads it off and plays center. Shortstop, Sean Dunston from Brooklyn, New York, batting second. Ryan Sandberg, the second baseman, batting third. Keith Moreland batting fourth in right field. Catcher Jody Davis batting fifth. First baseman Leon Durham will hit sixth. Ron Say batting seventh. Billy Hatcher, the left fielder, will hit eighth. And Johnny Abrego on the mound.
So Dwight Gooden with a lifetime record of 7-2 against the Cubs, getting set for his first pitch of the ball game. Bob Dernier, the batter, and the fastball, a called strike. Dernier hitting .254 for the year with 1 home run, and he has 21 RBIs. 1 for 3 in yesterday's ball game. And a ground ball to the second baseman, Wally Backman. Hernandez starts for it and goes back to the bag, and the Mets pick up a quick out.
A lot of second basemen will use a word sign with the first baseman. If he has an easy play on it, the first baseman just keeps on going and the pitcher covers. He will yell something if he's in position to make the play. The thing with Hernandez, he's got so much range to his right, but he can get back to first. So you can yell that word sign out and have Hernandez get back. He is so quick down there. Not a fast runner, but a quick fielder.
And the out brings up Dunston, who is hitting .257 with 4 home runs and 15 RBIs. And the first pitch by Gooden, the ball.
It's always amazed me, Ralph, that a guy could not have good foot speed but be quick in the field like Brooks Robinson.
Or Dick Groat.
Dick Groat, yeah.
1 ball, no strikes as Gooden misses again with a fastball. It's 2-0. Dunston with a base hit off Gooden when he faced Dwight at Shea Stadium. He's 2 for 8 against the Mets in his brief batting appearances against New York. Yesterday, 1 for 3 in the game. And a base hit to right field. So Dunston now gets his second hit off Gooden. And he's 3 for 9 against Met pitching. From Thomas Jefferson High School in Brooklyn, New York, Sean Dunston.
Good piece of hitting by Sean right there. A low fastball. And that's what you have to do with the doctor. You got to make him get the ball down. That ball upstairs got that extra pop on it.
And it brings up Ryan Sandberg.
What you usually do, too, pop it up.
Sandberg hitting .310 for the year. He has 24 home runs, 76 RBIs. And the fastball for ball 1. Sandberg hitting .306 against the Mets this year with 19 hits. He's had 2 home runs and 7 RBIs. 0 for 2 yesterday. Last year he was the MVP, hitting .314 with 200 hits, 19 home runs, and 32 stolen bases. Throw to first base and Dunston back.
Well, that's a quick move by Gooden. It's amazing how much he has improved his move to first base without losing anything on his pitches to home.
Dunston has 10 stolen bases already. Another good move to first. First base umpire, Randy Marsh. And a fastball for a called strike. Sandberg with more home runs than last year with his 24. this year against 19 last year. And that pitch is low, and the count 2 balls and 1 strike.
I would imagine it'd be hard to have a good year after an MVP year. You set such standards for yourself, and people expect so much, but Sandberg has had as good a year this year as he did last year.
And the pitch back is chopped over the third baseman's head. A base hit to left field. Dunston to second base and holding there as Danny Heap gets to the ball. So Sandberg a base hit, and runners now at first and second with 1 man out.
Well, this is a real artificial surface base hit right here. The only problem is Cubs aren't playing on artificial surface. See, that happens on grass too, those types of hits.
So runners at first and second, 1 out, and the batter will be Keith Moreland, who brings a 14-game hitting streak into the game. Keith hitting .380 over the 14 games. Overall hitting at .303 with 11 home runs and 94 RBIs. Moreland's best year in his major league career, .302, so he is on his way to a better year than he's ever had. And he grounds this one out to the shortstop. Santana will have to go to first base, and does as he picks up the out, and the runners move up. Dunston goes to third base, and Sandberg down to second. And now with 2 men out, the batter will be Jody Davis.
Good play by Santana, and a lot of times when you watch a ball game, see a fast guy on first base, and when the shortstop receives a ball like that, there's time to get the runner at second base, but the shortstop's simply not in position to throw back across his body. And that was the situation right there. Santana could have gone to second, but he really wasn't in position. He went for the sure out at first.
So now 2 men away, runners in scoring position, and Jody Davis the batter. Jody 0 for 4 yesterday, and overall hitting at .227 for the year with 15 home runs and 53 RBIs. And the fastball a called strike. Mets leading 1-0. The Cubs threatening with runners at second and third. Runner at third base, Dunston. The runner at second, Sandberg. And a 1-strike count on Jody Davis. And Gooden decides he wants another set of signs.
Howard Johnson was over toward third, and Dunston moved back, and that's why Dwight stepped off. It's good to send that third baseman to the bag occasionally, just to put a thought in that runner's mind at third base.
And the breaking ball, a swing and a strike 2. First curveball thrown by Dwight Gooden in this game.
That was a quick curveball too, and we've seen that with Gooden the last 5 or 6 outings, which would lead one to believe that he's coming up with another pitch, and that could be fatal for National League hitters.
22-4 in the year, Dwight Gooden. And he comes back with a breaking ball, and it's fouled. Ball fouled off of Jody Davis's foot, so the count stays at strike 2.
See, Ralph, that breaking ball there does not have the hump on it that you're used to seeing from Gooden. It's almost like a tighter wrap breaking ball, kind of like the curveball that Oral Hershiser throws for the Dodgers. But you're used to seeing that little hump in the breaking ball that Gooden throws, but not these first 2 here today.
Hershiser, the only pitcher with a better winning percentage than Dwight Gooden.
I think he's 17-3, isn't he?
17-3, yes. Gooden, of course, 22-4. And the fastball, let's hit down the right field side. It'll be out of play. So after the 2 breaking pitches, Gooden back with a good fastball, and Davis fouls it off to the right side, way behind the pitch, but lucky to get it on the bat and foul it off.
Yeah, that's what that breaking ball does. If you keep throwing that breaking ball, you reestablish the fastball. You could get a guy out on the breaking ball, but it serves 2 purposes.
2 strikes the count as Gooden tries to pitch out of the jam with runners at second and third and 2 men out. Gooden has pitched 31 consecutive innings without giving up an earned run. And he has runners at third base and second base here with 2 men out in the first inning. And he goes back to the fastball. So the count 1-2 as he misses. Sean Dunston, the runner at third base, talking to Don Zimmer, the third base coach. And at second base, Ryan Sandberg. 1-2 the count. And the fastball hit hard at Santana, who comes up with it. And the throw to first base for the out that retires the side. So the Cubs no runs on 2 hits, 2 left in scoring position. And the score at the end of 1, the Mets won, the Cubs nothing. Now here's a word from Manufacturers Hanover.
Well, you're seeing an action-packed game here today with Dwight Gooden, and the action continues all this week on Channel 9. The Mets travel to Pittsburgh tomorrow night, 7:30 game time, then Saturday afternoon at 3, live for Pittsburgh's Three Rivers Stadium. I was trying to combine Pittsburgh and Three Rivers, and it came out Pittsburgher. And I guess that's how Pittsburgh was named, huh?
William Pitt.
William Pitt and the burgers from that town got together and called it Pittsburgh. I don't know if that's true, but if it's not, it makes a great story, right?
And the story right here at Wrigley Field is the fact the Mets are leading by a score of 1-0. And some Met fans there. Let's go Mets. Mets got 1 run on 4 hits while the Cubs committed 2 errors in the first half inning. Left 2 men in scoring position. The Cubs got no runs on 2 hits and left 2 runners in scoring position in their half of the first. And on the mound, Johnny Abrego, and Abrego working to Howard Johnson. Johnson hitting at .239 for the year with 10 home runs, 41 RBIs. And a ground ball hit down to the first baseman, Leon Durham, and he makes the play. So 1 pitch and 1 away. That'll bring up Rafael Santana. Rafael hitting at .259 with 1 home run, 26 RBIs. Mets as a team hitting .256. 125 home runs, the most home runs they have had as a team since 1962, their first year in baseball. Cubs are hitting at .253, and they lead the National League in home runs with 135. And the first pitch is out of the strike zone for ball 1. Abrego back with a fastball, and he gets his strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. Davey Johnson, the manager of the New York Mets. This ball grounded foul, so the count 1-2.
Cardinals will be sending John Tudor against Kevin Gross and the Philadelphia Phillies tonight. Then the Cardinals go to Montreal, where they have won only 1 of 6 this year. They go there for the weekend while the Mets will play in Pittsburgh.
And the breaking ball for ball 2, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
So there's still hope, folks. Guarantee you.
Abrego with a record of 1-0. Back with a fastball. It's grounded again to Leon Durham, and again he makes the play unassisted. So 2 men away. And Abrego will be working to Dwight Gooden, who has set a Met record for pitchers with 20 base hits this year, breaking a record held by Tom Seaver.
Our director Bill Webb reminds us that Jeff Reardon is back, and had he been available in St. Louis last weekend, Expos very well could have won 2 of those 3 games against the Cardinals.
Cardinals with late inning home runs by Jack Clark and also by Tommy Herr, winning 2 of those ball games. And there's a strike call. 1 ball, 1 strike to Dwight Gooden. Gooden hitting .230 on the year. Abrego back again, and the slider is hit foul, fielded by Say in foul territory. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Traveling with this club, Ralph, over the last week, you know, the players have not panicked. They've handled themselves very well. They've been playing good baseball. They just lost a few games. The Cardinals have just been red hot, and I mean red hot. They have won a ton of one-run ball games the last 10 days.
And it's strike 3 as Gooden goes after the fastball. So a 1-2-3 inning. The first strikeout for Abrego. And the score at the end of 1.5 innings, the Mets won, the Cubs nothing. Now here's a word from Nissan. Well, we're going out of the bottom of the second inning. The Mets leading by a score of 1-0, and coming in for the play-by-play, Tim McCarver.
All right, Ralph, thanks a lot. Bottom of the second inning, Dwight Gooden against Johnny Abrego. Mets with 4 hits. As a matter of fact, they got all 4 hits in the first inning. But a pickoff play by Johnny Abrego with Wilson at third and Backman at first held the Mets to just 1 run. As Hernandez followed with a single. Strawberry got a single in that inning, so they had 4 hits and only 1 run in the first, and they lead 1-0. Leon Durham, the batter, he's batting .278 with 19 home runs, 66 RBIs. Curveball high. Of the 19 home runs, 14 have been here at Wrigley Field for Durham. Lifts this one to left field, and Heap over, and it's out of play. So it's 1-1 to the on Durham. Friendly confines of Wrigley have been very friendly for Durham over the last 2 years. Last year he had 23 home runs, 19 here at Wrigley.
Speaking of friendly confines, this is the anniversary of Ernie Banks's last game that he played for the Cubs back in 1971.
Another foul, 1-2.
Ernie Banks with 2,528 games as a Cub, never saw a World Series except from the stands.
MVP in 1958, 59. Fastball missed inside, so it's 2-2 to Durham. Let's play 2 today, right?
Let's play 2.
Oh, curveball. See you later. There's that quick curveball we were talking about. First strikeout for Gooden, and the batter will be Ron Say.
Strikeout number 252 for Dwight Gooden. Last year he had 276 to lead Major League pitchers. And the hard, tight curveball by Gooden gives him his first here in this ball game.
So Ron Say batting .234. Ralph and I were talking about it before the game. In 52 at-bats against the Mets this year, no RBIs for Say. Ripped to left center. Wilson can't get to it. Going to be at least 2 for Say. And he'll pull up there. So a nice try by Mookie Wilson. Looked like he dived over the ball, Ralph.
I'll say hitting the ball very hard in the left center field. Picks up his 12th base hit against Met pitchers, and that fastball right down the middle. Mookie makes the dive here, just doesn't quite get to it. Good try by Mookie. Quickly gets up and holds Say to a 2-base hit. Gooden doesn't appear to have a good fastball here today, at least not in the early part of this ball game.
He almost dived over that ball, it looked like. Boy, Mookie Wilson's effort has never been questioned, has it, Ralph?
Certainly has an 18th double for Say this year.
Frank Cashin has said that Mookie Wilson is one guy that he does not mind paying the money to, that he earns every bit of it, and we concur. Billy Hatcher, the batter, and a curveball is low, 1-0. Billy has a couple of home runs, batting .266. Kind of a stiff swing for a young player. Fastball for a strike, 1-1.
One of his home runs against the Mets. He threw out a runner at home plate yesterday. It showed very, very strong throwing arm.
Runs well, has a couple of stolen bases. Billy Hatcher batting number 8. 1 out, Say at second. Curveball, base hit to left field. So Say, who had to hold up to see if the line drive was going to be caught, moves to third. And Hatcher at first with the fourth base hit, and the batter's going to be Johnny Abrego.
He really hung in there and hit that curveball hard. And Gooden now in trouble again, as he has runners at first and third in the second inning. They had runners at second and third in the first inning, did not score.
Fans here at Wrigley Field shivering in how would you say it? Autumnal bliss.
Autumnal, that's right. It is autumn, isn't it?
Been autumn for about, what, 5 days? Johnny Abrego is the batter. He has no hits and 7 tries. The Cubs do like the bunt.
Yeah, Jim Fry loves that squeeze play.
Won a couple of games with that play this year. One out, first and third for the Cubs, and he is bunting a safety squeeze, and Abrego wasn't running. You drop that ball, throw to second, and go to first, you got a double play.
All the outs you need, all they had to do is drop it. Abrego standing at home plate. So Hatcher still at first base, along with Say at third. And Bob Denier, the batter.
Abrego was walking back to the dugout. You drop that ball, go to second for the force back to first. You might double a guy where the guy is farther away from first base than he was when he bunted it.
He was over by the dugout. That ball could be dropped very easily there for the double play. You can't drop it out of your glove. You have to let the ball go to the ground before you touch it.
Bob Dernier, the batter. There's a strike. 1-0 New York. Cubs have 4 hits and the Mets have 4 hits. Dernier grounded to second his first time up, and Hatcher a threat to run at first. One and one. Say at third, Abrego at first. Grounded hard to Backman. And they get Dernier, who grounds for the second time in a row, to second base. So the Cubs threaten again, but they don't score. 2 hits and 2 left. They've stranded 4 through 2. And the Mets lead 1-0 going into the third. Now here's a word from R.C. Cola.
Coming up tonight at 7 o'clock, don't miss the big bucks excitement with Dick Clark in the all-new $100,000 Pyramid here on Channel 9.
Well, that cloudy sky looks like Hurricane Gloria may be extending this far west, huh? Mookie Wilson, the batter, and a breaking ball for a strike, 0-1. Mookie doubled and scored a run in the first. Hurricanes don't extend this far west, do they?
I hope not.
We're flying into Pittsburgh tonight. Let's hope it doesn't extend that far west. Good fastball from Abrego, 0-2. Breaking ball, base hit up the middle. Mookie Wilson continues his hot hand. That curveball out of the strike zone, wasn't it?
Mookie went right down to get it and got his second hit of this ball game, and also his 26th hit in his last 18 ball games since coming off the DL.
Wally Backman singled his first time up, but then on a 0-1 count to Keith Hernandez, he was picked off first by Abrego. Wilson a threat to run. I thought we already had a hurricane named Gloria in this country. Is this a
repeat?
A daughter?
It's a rerun.
A rerun. It's supposed to be nasty, too. Fastball outside, 1-0 to Backman.
Al Lopez swears this is true. He was catching in a ball game in Boston when that big hurricane hit Boston years ago. And he said a fly ball was hit to the left fielder, and he caught it in foul territory. The game was called right after that. I don't know if it's true, but he swears it was.
That's a gusty wind right there. I'll tell you what, I've seen infielders in this ballpark go back for balls that were eventually hit out of the ballpark that eventually blew out of the park. That's how strong that wind can be here at Wrigley. Well, they almost had him on that one. Whew.
Mookie making a move the other way before he was able to turn back.
In that 23-22 game back in 1979 where the Phillies beat the Cubs, Mike Schmidt hit a home run, his first of 2 that day. And there goes Wilson, swing and a miss. The throw out at second. Good throw by Jody Davis.
Davis threw out Strawberry yesterday with a gun, and right here he comes out throwing and gets Mookie. So the Mets lose another base runner. Had Backman picked off in the first inning, and now Mookie throwing out here in the third.
Oh, that was a good throw. Tough pitch to handle, low and away. Davis made all the throw in one motion to nail Wilson. 1 out. Breaking ball inside. Anyway, Mike Schmidt hit a ball that the shortstop went back for, and the ball blew out of the ballpark. Now, the shortstop didn't call it. I won't exaggerate the story. But he did go back for the ball, and the ball was out of the ballpark. Ground ball left side. Dunston, the shortstop, over to Durham. 2 out. Gloria is the more prototypical name for a hurricane, though. We had one earlier this year called Bob. That didn't grab me.
Well, they have to call every other one by a masculine name.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they could Elmo or something like that, but not Bob. I mean, I think it should be multi-syllabic at least, don't you? Bob or Ray or something like that. It doesn't really grab you.
You like a little more euphonic sound to it, huh?
Yeah. 0-1. And it's 1-1 to Hernandez. Keith singled in the only run of the game back in the first.
You never like single-syllable words like strike and out.
Not for no, those are hurricanes in their own right. Breaking ball inside, 2-1. Abrego, born in Corpus Christi, Texas. Speaking of hurricanes,
We've had a few down there.
right near Galveston. 3-1 to Keith. 23 game-winning RBIs for Keith Hernandez. That is an all-time Major League record. And he draws a base on balls. So the batter, Gary Carter, he flied to right his first time up. James Gottfried Fry, 53-year-old manager for the Cubs. He's the 41st manager in Chicago Cub history. One year they had 5, didn't they?
One year they fired the manager in spring training. I was a member of the club that time. It was Phil Cavaretta who was fired in spring training.
What could you do in spring training to warrant getting fired?
He's the only manager ever been fired in spring training.
Fastball to Carter for a strike.
One year they made the radio broadcaster to the manager. And the manager went up in the broadcast booth. Charlie Grimm went up in the broadcast booth, and Lou Boudreau, who had been a great baseball player in the Hall of Fame and manager, went down to manage the ball club. They've done some strange things here.
And Gary fouls it back, 0-2. Does that mean we can look forward to Davy Johnson up here next year and you on the field?
One of us, not me, though. You volunteer for it. One year they had a rotating coach manager system where they rotated the managers from coaches in the minor leagues and around.
Yeah, that was the time I was talking about 5 managers. Bob Kennedy was one of those men.
Yeah.
Charlie Metro.
Elvin Tappy.
Mm-hmm. Back in 61, I believe. 0-2 to Gary Carter. Slider outside. So it's 1-2. Charlie Grimm, oh, Jolly Charlie was anything but grim. What a great storyteller he was.
When he'd go out to take a pitcher out of a ball game, he'd always trip over the baseline.
Slider is low. Abrego wanted it, but it was a little low, so it's 2-2. He was a very funny man. Abrego, and is trying for his second major league start, 3 years older than Dwight Gooden. He's 23. Swing and a miss. Carter goes down on strikes, and the second strike out for young Johnny Abrego. No runs a hit and one left here in the third, so after 2.5, it's 1-0 Mets.
Well, this has been an exciting season for the Mets, one of their most exciting seasons in the history of the Mets, and it's coming to a close. Demand for season tickets for next year is increasing, so if you don't already have season tickets for Mets baseball, now's the time to make plans for 1986. With season tickets, you never get shut out of the big ball games or special event dates, and it's a perfect way to entertain family, friends, or business clients. To place your name on the Mets preferred list to ensure that you obtain the best possible seating locations at Shea, just send a letter or postcard with your address and phone number to Mets Sales Department, Shea Stadium, Flushing, New York, 11368. Again, if interested in 1986 season tickets, send your name, address, and phone number to Mets Sales Department, Shea Stadium, Flushing, New York, 11368.
Well, fans, on Saturday and Sunday afternoon, that's this Saturday and Sunday, day after tomorrow, and then Sunday, from 11 to 3 o'clock at Shea, the Mets will sell a variety of items which have been offered to fans on special event days at Shea. Among the items for sale will be picnic jugs, Little League bats, kids' shirts, helmets, and flip-flops. The items will be sold at bargain prices, and there will be a limit of 4 items per customer. That's this Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 3, a sale of Mets premium items at Shea. And those are new items, we might add. They hadn't been return items or anything that people have brought back. They're not used. They're brand new, brand spanking new.
Like your baseball bat.
Some of my old bats are brand new. Never been used. Never been touched by a ball, pal. Sean Dunston, the batter, to lead off the third inning. I had no problem making contact. Matter of fact, I made too much contact. You can do that as a hitter. Foul off, and keep in play balls that are really the pitcher's pitches. So there is some validity in swinging through pitches or fouling them back. Fastball outside, 1-0 to Dunston.
Like Wade Boggs never popping up to the left side of the infield all season long.
Of course, he's leading the American League in hitting.
Leading baseball in hitting.
Yep.
McGee hitting .360, leading the National League.
Boggs batting .372 to lead the American League. 227 hits with 10 games to play. 3-0 to Dunston.
All-time record 257 hits by George Sisler when he played for the St. Louis Browns in the American League.
Fastball for a strike, 3-1. Sisler hit .409 or something like that year. Back, I think it was 20 or 21. First walk of the afternoon, issued by Gooden and Dunston, of course, a threat to run. Well, Ralph, my friend, it's time to play Mets trivia. On this date in 1962, the Braves tag a 6-3 loss on Roger Craig. Roger lost 24 games that year. But what was so significant about that Met loss? 1962, 6-3 loss to Roger Craig on this day. And Sandberg fouls one off. He's single his first time up. Cubs have threatened in every inning with 5 base runners, but they have yet to plate a run.
That was 1920 that Sisler got his 257 hits playing for the St. Louis Browns.
What did he bat that year? 409? It was something like that. Might have been 420.
He hit 420 in 1922. Ty Cobb hit 401 and didn't win the batting title that year.
There goes Dunston. Ball hit well to center. Wilson there. He might have a play at first. And Hernandez tried to stretch, and Gooden is over there alertly backing up the play. 1 out.
Well, you can talk and lecture all your life to some players about backing up plays. Gooden does it by instinct. He's over in back of the play. Hernandez knows he's there, so he tries to catch the ball on the bag, and Gooden comes up with the ball. Now, when a ball's hit the center field, how do you know that the ball's going to be caught? But Gooden got over there and backed up the play at first base. There he comes over, and he's right there to take the errant throw.
That brings up an interesting thought, because if the ball lands in front of Wilson, Dunston's on third, and Gooden should have been behind third. But as you said, Ralph, instinctively, he saw the ball was going to get caught. Dunston was off too far. There'd be a play at first, and he backed it up. And instincts is the key word. 1 out, and Moreland the batter. He grounded to short his first time up. 0-1. Gooden facing Wilson then, and the computer got to going, and he said, I got to be behind first.
Boy, 20 years of age.
You'd make a good argument for reincarnation. How do you how do you learn that much in 20 years? Curveball outside and low. 1-1 to Moreland. I'm not an advocate of the Bridie Murphy school of thought. You remember when that Bridie Murphy stuff was going around? And he said he had lived another life back 20 years ago. Line to right, base hit. Strawberry over, Dunston all the way to third. So the Cubs once again threaten. First and third and 1 out, and the batter, Jody Davis.
Well, Moreland continues his hitting streak as he picks up this base hit, his 15th consecutive game with at least 1 base hit. The record this year for consecutive games with at least 1 base hit held by Ryan Dern in the National League, who had 18. Wade Boggs hit in 27.
Ryan Sandberg.
What'd I say?
Ryan Dern.
Ryan Dern?
You
couldn't hit at all.
You were thinking of Bridie Murphy, weren't
That's
you?
right. Sandberg hit in 18 consecutive ball games earlier this year.
Ryan Dern couldn't hit because he couldn't see real well.
That's right.
I think it wasn't scary facing that guy. They said he hit somebody in the on-deck circle one time. Do you believe that?
It was me.
Cubs have runners at first and third and 1 out. 1-0 Mets. And Davis had a good hack. 0-1.
We were playing a ball game in Yuma, Arizona. Spring training game playing against the St. Louis Browns when Durham was with the Browns. They had Bob Turley, Ryan Dern, and Don Larson all on their pitching staff at one time. You think it wasn't something?
Ooh.
3 guys that could really hum it.
Big guys, too.
I was in the on-deck circle, and he was warming up, and he almost hit me.
Swing and a miss, 0-2. Dwight Gooden has not allowed an earned run in 41 1/3 innings. But the Cubs, with their best chance to score today, first and third and 1 out, and Davis hitting. Swings and fouls it back. They did have first and third and 1 out in the second inning, but Abrego was the batter, and he popped to Gooden on the bunt attempt. Dunston at third base and Moreland at first. See what Carter flashes. He wants the curve. Now he wants the fastball outside. A catcher will use that finger to indicate. Sometimes the digit will be the fastball into a right-hander, and the pinky will be a fastball away. But Carter, as you see, pointed in. Now he wants it away. And he gets it there, and Davis fouls it away with Moreland running. Still 0-2.
Can't believe that Moreland would be running on that pitch. 2-strike count. He's not a base stealer.
Well, he's stolen 11 bases this year, but that's twice as many as he had in his career coming into this year. But I agree with you. I don't know where he's going in that play. You do stay out of the double play, but from a percentage standpoint, you want Davis in there hacking. It's a fastball away again. Fastball line down the right field line, and it's foul. Jody big and strong. Having an off year, but he does have 15 home runs from Gainesville, Georgia. He and Keith Moreland hunting buddies during the wintertime. They go deer hunting down in South Georgia. Throw to first. Oh, 2, 1 out. First and third for the Cubs. Bottom of the third inning. A gloomy, dreary day here at Wrigley. Curveball, see you later. Second strikeout for Gooden, and it came in a big time.
Well, he struck out Leon Durham on a curveball looking in the second inning, and now getting a big out here as he gets Davis on that curve.
And with Leon Durham hitting Ralph, that trivia question one more time. On this date in '62, the Braves tag a 6-3 loss on Roger Craig. Why was that so significant?
It was his 18th consecutive loss.
That's a good guess, and it probably was. Fastball grounded to second, and Backman over to Santana. So the Mets are out of it, and I'll give you that answer. It was the Mets' 118th defeat of the year, the most of any team in the modern era. Well, it's 1-0 Mets after 3, and we'll be back after this word from Eastern Airlines. Top of the fourth inning, the Mets lead 1-0. Dwight Gooden dodging all sorts of bullets. The Cubs have stranded 3 through, or make that 6 through 3 innings. And to carry through the play-by-play, Steve Zabriskey. Steve-O, welcome.
Thanks a lot, Tim, and hi, everybody. Strawberry, Heap, and Johnson to face 23-year-old Johnny Abrego as we go to the top of the fourth. Abrego has given up the 1 run on 5 hits, struck out 2, and walked 1. And Darrell, who singled his first time up, takes the ball. That's a little bit low, 2-0. Foul back right at us.
Don't be laughing either. Had some coffee.
I know.
Headed right. Headed right for my coffee cup.
And the coffee cup was headed right for me.
You got it.
2-1. 3-1 now.
What was that pitch? A funny looking thing.
Looked like a squirter. Squirted out of his hand.
Tweezer pitch.
Grounded to second. Sandberg. And 1 away. This has got to be the kind of day that would bother Darryl Strawberry's thumb. Probably more so than any day previously this year, because it is raw. cold. There's Danny Heap, who grounded to short to end the first inning. In the dirt with a breaking ball. Ball one. You know, you look at the sky here, and we've had some nice shots of the sky. And it belies the fact that the leaves haven't all fallen off the trees yet. 1-1. You look at that sky, and it looks like it's wintertime.
The sun has not soaked or sucked the chlorophyll out of those leaves, right? That's what it does, isn't that what caused the colors, the pretty colors?
Right. No, it's not producing anymore. Well, it won't be long before the leaves are gone, I'll tell you.
Well, they change colors first.
Well, that's true.
I love the autumn. Isn't it a beautiful time of year? I love days like this.
Well, you're weird. This is cold.
You mean I'm weird? What kind of comment is that to tell your colleague? Your aspiring, respected colleague like me that I'm weird. You'll be hearing from my lawyers tomorrow, pal, calling me weird on national television.
No offense intended.
Oh, no,
no,
that's a compliment.
Most people like it warm.
Well, that's true.
You like it cold.
I do like
You're
it
different. Well hit to left. Hatcher can't get there, but holds Heap to a single. Poor choice of words on my part. You're different.
Good piece of hitting by Heap, though. Abrego ran the count to 1-2, and then Danny waited for that 3-2 fastball and didn't try to pull it. Abrego's impressive. He comes right at you.
Done a good job so far. Howard Johnson grounded to first baseman Leon Durham to open the second inning. Heap at first with one out, and Johnson takes a strike on the fastball. Mets leading 1-0. It's been a precarious 1-0 lead.
A weird game so far, right?
Starting with the top half of the first inning when the Mets got one run on 4 hits and 2 errors.
That's weird.
That has become the keynote word for today.
Well, I mean, it wasn't until you called me weird. Now I'm probably going to crawl into a shell.
No.
Crawl into a cocoon. I saw that movie last night that you suggested. What a great movie that was.
That's that's a lot of fun. Well cast, well acted, well directed.
Weird movie, though.
It was weird. I've really started something now. On the corner, Hojo doesn't like the call. But it's 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Ralph Kiner is diving into his 3rd cheeseburger of the afternoon.
Got to do something to stay warm.
One of the basic gut bombs here at Wrigley Field.
Next week we can have one in St. Louis. Just outside, 2-2.
I had a couple myself before the game. Bill Webb has had 2 hamburgers and a hot dog so far today. How about you?
I had 1 hot dog.
Okay.
I have been spared the pleasure of a gut bomb. They're weird.
That's weird that you only had 1.
Again, just outside. It's 3-2.
Boy, that last pitch was very close. It's interesting how catchers will argue with home plate umpires. They rarely turn around, but they do show their displeasure in many, many ways.
Umpires don't like catchers to turn around.
You know, umpires don't like catchers, period.
They probably think they're weird.
Probably. And catchers certainly think that about umpires. I would imagine people be off and running here Mets with a 1-0 lead and looking for more.
Not going, and it's a base hit to left field. So Heap stops at second. Back-to-back singles after 1 out here in the 4th for New York. Runners at first and second.
I think we've had 2 examples, or really 3 examples, of what to do with that outside pitch in this inning. Darryl Strawberry led off the inning with a ground ball to second on an outside fastball. Heap and Johnson followed with 2 singles to left field on the outside fastball. And that's really why hitters have to use all parts of the field which to hit. If you try to pull that outside heater, generally speaking, you will play pepper with that second baseman if you're a left-handed hitter, and the shortstop if you're a right-handed hitter.
Activity in the Chicago bullpen. Ron Meredith up and throwing.
I think Jimmy's out there to argue with the umpire. See, you can't go to home plate to argue.
He was waiting for him.
Yeah, he was. He was waiting for him to come out there and chew at him a little bit. But if you go to the home plate umpire to argue balls and strikes, you're automatically ejected. So that's just, you know, we talked about a catcher arguing and how interesting that was. That's a little way that a manager can argue with an umpire.
Very subtly done by Mr. Fry. Here's Rafael Santana, who grounded out his first time up. And he rips one a base hit down the line to left. Heap rounding third. He will score. Johnson into third, and he is safe. And on the throw to third, Santana goes into second with an RBI.
And good base running by Howard Johnson. The reason he slid in safely at third is because how he ran to second base. Heap scores easily. Now watch Hatcher. He comes up firing in left field, barehands it, and Johnson right there. Now that's the end of it, but usually you get to the end of something by what you do at the beginning. And he ran hard to second base, and that put him in a position to go hard to third. So instead of Gooden being in a bunting situation, he's now in a situation where he can give the Mets another run. Good base running by Johnson.
And the Mets lead 2-0. Runners at second and third. The infield in all the way around for Chicago. Still only 1 out. And the doctor with a base hit to center field. It's 3-0 New York, and Santana is going to be held at third. So Dwight Gooden, who in his last start pounded the baseball, picks up another RBI, his 8th of the year.
And Gooden helps his cause. He's a good bunter. He's a good fielder. And Ralph and I talked about his instincts back in the second inning. Dernier throwing to the cutoff man Durham, and Santana diving back to third base.
And that's going to be it for young Johnny Abrego.
I don't think Jim Fry is through with Charlie Williams yet. He's upset, not at Abrego as much as Charlie Williams, a home plate umpire.
So Ron Meredith comes in to relieve. And Abrego lasts only 3 1/3 innings. Jimmy's looking over at Charlie Williams as he walked off, but Charlie, working on his lineup card, did not catch his eye.
Well, fans, make sure you're up to date on all the latest in news, weather, and sports from the Channel 9 News team on News 9 Primetime tonight at 8 o'clock. Getting darker here, isn't it?
Yes, and remember, there are no lights here at Wrigley. Meredith has a record of 3-2 with 1 save and a 4.32 ERA. This is his 30th appearance of the year. In 41 2/3 innings, he has walked 21, struck out 22, given up 49 base hits. There's LeBlanc d'Orange.
Rusty recently became the 10th player in Major League history to have 100 pinch hits. By the way, fans, all sorts of things happening on WOR over the weekend. An 8:05 game from Pittsburgh tomorrow night will be Ed Lynch against Bob Kipper. And then on Saturday, the game originally scheduled for 7 o'clock will now start at 3 o'clock. Actually, it's a 3:20 game, but we'll be on the air at 3 o'clock. That's Saturday. And then Sunday, a special edition of Kiner's Corner. That's at 1 o'clock, New York time. So all sorts of baseball happenings. You can catch it all right here on WOR over the weekend. Then after an off day, the Mets travel to St. Louis, and we will carry all three 7:35, make that 8:35 Eastern time, all those games right here on WOR.
Here's Mookie Wilson, who's 2 for 2. A double and a run scored in the first, and a single to center in the third. Runners at first and third with 1 out, and a strike called to Mookie. Abrego goes 3 1/3. He gives up 3 earned runs so far on 9 base hits. He struck out 2 and walked 1, and he is responsible for the runners on base. Durham holding Gooden on at first base.
Then your middle infielders are playing halfway, and that will give them a play at home because you're not going to double up Mookie Wilson on just a routinely hit ground ball. It's got to be hard.
That's outside. 2 balls, 1 strike. Down low, and it's 3-1. Mookie entered the game hitting .353 in his 17 starts since he came back off the DL with 2 homers and 15 runs scored. So he scored his 16th run in his 18 starts since returning to action today. A number right back to the pitcher, and Santana caught off third. Does not get tagged out yet. He's trying to wait for Gooden to get to third, and Gooden does, and Mookie Wilson down to second. John McSherry saying that Santana went out of the baseline and is calling him out for that reason.
That's okay. Santana did a heck of a job, and I'll tell you, Jody Davis could have gotten a double play on that ball because when he was running Wilson or Santana back to third base, Gooden took off for third. Now watch this play. Santana, an excellent job. Meredith tries to tag him. Boom. Now he throws it quickly. That's proper. Now watch Davis right here. Now see, if he throws to third, he gets Gooden, and they still got Santana in the rundown. That's a way to get a double play on that ball. It takes some alert thinking, but that is the way to get it. But he did get the sure man, and that was Santana. But a good job by Santana.
He let both runners move up. A strike to Wally Backman with runners at second and third with 2 out. Mets have gotten 4 hits in this inning. Swing and a miss, and Mookie almost trapped off second base. Where's he going with the base runner in front of him?
Yeah, he's just trying to probably get a good jump down there in case Backman makes contact. You can pick a lot of runners off at second base when they're good base runners. If they're bad base runners, you can't get them.
They don't go anywhere.
They play those softball rules. Stay on the bag.
No lead. That's low and inside, and it's now 1 ball, 2 strikes.
And Mookie's a good base runner because he realizes that on a sharply hit ball with the outfield playing in, there'll be a play on the plate. So he's trying to get a little extra step or 2 down at second.
Grounded to short. Dunston over to first, and the inning is over. But the Mets pick up a couple of runs and lead it now 3-0 as we go to the bottom of the 4th after this word from Sprint.
This is News 9 Update.
Good afternoon, I'm Robert Miller. Hurricane Gloria is aiming her 130-mile-an-hour winds at North Carolina. They could hit land there tonight. Thousands of people have fled inland. A hurricane watch is in effect all the way from Cape Romaine, South Carolina to Cape Cod, Massachusetts. And gale warnings are now in effect in the New York, New Jersey metropolitan area. We will have team coverage, including storm precautions in our area, on News 9 prime time at 8.
Steve Zabriskey along with Tim McCarver and Ralph Kiner back with you on a gray day at Wrigley Field here in Chicago. Wind blowing in, although not too strongly, certainly by Chicago standards. And as you can see, the full houses of earlier in the year here at Wrigley Field are no more, as the Cubs are 24.5 games out entering play today. But still, rabid fans in this town. Ron Say, Billy Hatcher, and possibly a pinch hitter in the bottom half of the fourth inning for Chicago. 3-0, New York leads it. Say doubled the left center and was stranded at third his first time up in the second inning. Fastball a little bit high, ball one. Say needs one more home run to have 20 on the year, and that would give him at least 20 home runs for 10 straight seasons, not counting the strike year of '81. Popped up into center field. Mookie Wilson calling. One away here in the bottom of the fourth. Activity in the Chicago bullpen once again as Steve Engel is up and throwing, so you can look for a pinch hitter after Billy Hatcher. Hatcher singled to left in the second. You mentioned, Timmy, interestingly, his swing is, as you put it, rather stiff.
Uh-huh.
But he hits the ball. Just Darryl Strawberry, and they're two away.
Well, he does, but
it's not real fluid.
No, there's really no flexibility in the hands, and somewhere in the strike zone, usually as a result of a good swing, preferably on a ball up, that top hand comes over, and it's the result of what you've done through the strike zone. And when you see a hitter with inflexible hands, you realize that he's going to have some problems with the ball inside, and Hatcher does right now. Well, Meredith allowed to bat for himself, huh?
Kind of a surprise. And that ball is going to be a base hit. Gooden, I think, thought the ball was going to go foul and decided to leave it alone. Hernandez was awaiting the play at the bag, and the ball just stayed fair.
Well, I understand what Gooden was doing on this. Now watch him go over. He thinks that ball's going to roll foul. He said, well, let's just forget it. But it comes back, or at least certainly holds its line. That thing looked like a bocce throw, didn't it? It just held that line right down the edge of the grass. And usually when it hits the edge of the grass, it kind of kicks foul. But it really wasn't hit hard enough to have any action take hold of it.
So it's an infield base hit, the sixth, and the first hit for Johnny Abrego. Does this mean the relief pitchers are getting ready? What's going on?
Meredith just hit for himself.
There was a fireman in the bullpen, but he sat back down.
They do things up in a big way here in Chicago.
Some places have golf carts. They got real fire engines.
Yeah, that's right.
Johnny Abrego's first major league hit. And here's Bob Dernier, who's 0 for 2. And he skies one into right center field. Mookie Wilson and Darryl Strawberry over, and Strawberry makes the catch. So a single and one left in the fourth inning for the Cubs. And the Mets still lead it 3-0 here in Chicago after 4. We're back after this for Bud Light.
Don't miss the fun and games and kissing with Richard Dawson on Family Feud tonight at 8:30 here on Channel 9. Well, he does a lot of kissing on that show, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. What I've heard, anyway. I've never been on there.
You're not a big fan of Family Feud, obviously.
Don't get to see much TV.
We could come up with a game show and call it Broadcaster's Feud. Huh? Long season in a small booth.
There you go.
But it's been a very, very quick season this year for all Mets fans and for the traveling party that follows the club. They have really played good baseball consistently. And if they win this ball game, it'll be the 93rd win of the year. But as Davey Johnson said about all the marbles, they forget second-place teams in a hurry. They've even, the National League's forgotten the Cubs from last year, and they had a great year and lost to the Padres after being up 2-0.
That's right. And, who remembers?
He also ran.
Who remembers even the loser of the World Series after quite a while?
That's true.
So it's the ultimate that lasts, and that's what the Mets are striving for, albeit an uphill battle. Hernandez 1 for 1 plus a walk, swings through the fastball, and it's 1-1. Keith singled to right to drive in the first run of the game. In the first inning, he was walked in the third. 2 balls, 1 strike. Ron Meredith in relief of Johnny Abrego. And Hernandez lofts it into left center field. Well, left field now as Hatcher comes on and makes the catch as the ball was slicing toward him. 1 away. And here's Gary Carter, who's been held in check so far today. Gary is 0 for 2. He flied to right and struck out swinging. Seven home runs against Chicago.
Here it was 7 weeks ago. They were talking about operating on Gary Carter's knee. And had the strike been prolonged more than just 2 days, they probably would have.
That's right. What a difference that could have made.
Home runs, 33 RBIs in his last 25 games.
He's driven in 54 in the last 53 games.
14 home runs in 25 games. Now, I'm not real big on stats for stats' sake, but I mean, that's a tear right there.
And that's one reason he has been on base a lot. He's walked a lot lately, too, because he has been so hot.
Well, that's more than coincidence, because that means he's been selective with his pitches, and when he's gotten them, he hadn't fouled them back, taking them deep.
Darryl Strawberry 1 for 2. Single in the first, grounded out in the third, and swings and misses for strike 1.
25 days is 5 or 6 days less than a month, and that's quite obvious. But what isn't quite obvious is that Rudy York had 18 home runs in the month of September. Ralph Kiner passes that note along. That's kind of a tear, I'd say.
Didn't Willie Mays hit 17 in September one year? 65 or something like that? That's a passel, as they say down south. Passel of home runs.
A passel?
Passel.
They do say that down south?
Yeah. I guess farther south than Memphis, huh?
Evidently. How do you spell it?
I don't know.
P-A-S-S-E-L?
I guess.
Passel?
Passel of home runs, passel of anything. It's a bunch.
A bunch. I like that.
Carter at first. 1 out, 1 ball, 2 strikes on Strawberry, and a breaking ball, and a good one, and strike 3. First strikeout for Meredith.
Fastball, and then this bender. Strawberry straighten up. It's funny how you straighten up on a bender.
He was set up for it perfectly.
Sure was.
Danny Heap is 1 for 2, singled to left center and scored in the 4th. And that's inside, ball 1. Danny entered the game hitting .319 over the last 34. And it's 1-1. Two and 1. Carter at first with 2 out. The Mets are leading it 3-0. We're in the top of the 5th inning. Fastball outside makes the count 3-1. And ball 4 is low. So Heaps walk, pushes Carter to second base, first and second with 2 out for Howard Johnson. And Hojo's 1 for 2. He singled to left and scored in the 4th. Johnson with 2 home runs this year against Chicago, 2 of his 10. But he'd have to turn that wind around pretty strongly today, as it's really started to pick up a little bit more now, blowing in from left center field. It's low, ball 1.
There's Dave Beard, the right-hander, starting to warm for Chicago.
Fastball for strike 1, 1-1.
Usually if the wind's blowing in like this in most stadiums, if you hit it low, you can get it under it. But Wrigley Field here, you can't hit it low enough to get it under the wind and over the wall.
Because there aren't any, or not very many seats above that wall.
That's right.
Low and away. And the count now 2 balls, 1 strike. Yeah, that wind comes right over the top of those seats. And I think more so from left field than when the wind is blowing from right, although it doesn't blow that direction too often here. And that's probably because of the height of the surrounding buildings. It's fouled up into the upper deck, and it's 2-2. But National League Baseball will change forever once they do quit playing in this park, and eventually they will quit playing in this park.
Well, I suppose so. Sure would be a shame, though.
I agree. Right back up the middle. Dunston gets there and gets Johnson at first. Fine play by Sean Dunston, who has a great arm and showed very good range going behind the bag to end the inning. 2 walks and 2 left for the Mets. No runs, but they still lead Chicago 3-0 in the middle of the 5th. Now here's a word from Gatorade. Back here at Wrigley Field with the Mets leading 3-0, trying to catch those red-hot Cardinals. After today, just 9 games remaining in the season to decide the National League Eastern Division crown. And as we go to the bottom of the 5th, back in to call it, Tim McCarver.
Now one more look at that play that Sean Dunston made on Howard Johnson. Johnson not getting out of the box. Well, that was some kind of play, just getting him at first base. Look at that extension. Good footwork, and he has got a gun. That might be his strongest asset, his arm, Steve.
I'd have to say so. And he's improved defensively from when he was up earlier in the year. And the biggest problem for him, of course, is at the plate. And he's improved in that department as well.
And here he is, the man about whom we are talking. He's 1 for 1 with a walk. Fastball up and in. Think that had a message on it?
Well, the doctor's had a tough time with Dunston the last couple of times he's faced him.
Oh, this ball up and in. I wonder if Dunston did something to show Gooden up or something like that. Those 2 pitches might indicate something to that effect.
Home plate umpire Charlie Williams is having a conversation with Gary Carter now, in which Carter's had to turn around and face Charlie. So it's less than a casual chat, I think.
Well, those two pitches uncharacteristically high and tight to young Sean Dunston. So it's 2-0, 3-0, New York. There's a strike, 2-1.
Dunston's single back in the first inning gave him a 7-game hitting streak now. He'd hit 370 over the previous 6 games.
Yeah, of course, that would not normally be an indication that one should be shaved.
No.
You saw Gooden's competitive spirit and, I guess, protectionist feelings come out when he knocked down Bill Gullickson of the Expos after Gullickson threw at Carter. Charlie Williams out to talk to Gooden, and one would assume that he's saying something along the lines of, if you were throwing at him, knock it off. Not a warning, but a warning.
An unofficial warning.
Yeah, an automatic warning means that, or warning means an automatic $50 fine. So maybe he was kind of warning him unofficially there. But it's 2-0, 2-1 to Sean Dunston. Fastball misses, 3-1. Gooden has now gone 43 innings without allowing an earned run. Swings and misses, 3-2. And he's got another streak going. He's gone 11 scoreless innings now.
That's right, because the one run that has been scored against him during those 43 previous innings was an unearned run.
Swing and a miss, he got him. And for Gooden, strikeout number 3 and strikeout number 254 on the year. 1 out. Batter will be Ryan Sandberg.
Well, that's not the K corner. That's the K railing, I guess. There's another one.
Sandberg 1 for 2. Fly ball is shallow right. Backman back, waving off Strawberry. 2 out. Gooden did allow a run in the first inning of his last start last Saturday against Pittsburgh. And since that time, he has worked 12 2/3 innings, 11 2/3 innings of scoreless ball. His only loss since May 25th has come August 31st against the Giants, when he gave up 2 runs in 6 innings. Lost that game. They really walloped him in that game, 3-2. 0-1.
Well, you could put out a litany of near records and club records and streaks and statistics about the season that the doctor is having this year.
22-4. Look at that curveball inside, 1-1. I think that one of the most impressive things about him most recently has been his adaptability to the days when he doesn't have his good stuff, where the conditions are not good, and he has become a pitcher instead of a thrower. 2-1.
He's had a lot of games that he has won this year where he has not been overpowering. He has not struck out opposing batters in double figures, although he's done that 25 times in his brief career.
10 times this year, and a 2-1 curveball for a strike. 2-2.
But that is a big difference over last year. I mean, it's hard to go back and say he's even better, but he is.
Another curveball, tapped toward third. Tough play, Johnson. Got him. Good play, Howard Johnson. And 3 up, 3 down for the Cubs for the first time today. After 5 innings of play here at Wrigley Field, it's the doctor and his staff 3-0 over the Cubs. Now here's a word from Purolator Courier.
I've got exciting news for you baseball fans, thanks to Populator Courier.
Ralph, that's Purolator Courier.
Right. One lucky fan and his or her guest will attend the first 2 World Series games, airfare and hotel included. To win, send your name and address on a postcard to Purolator Courier, World Series strip, care of New York Mets, Shea Stadium, Flushing, New York, 11368. Send your entry no later than October 1st. The winner will be announced on Kiner's Corner, October.
Boy, if that's not an inspiring sight right there, that is a beautiful shot of the day here in Chicago. Raining earlier this morning here in Chicago. Similar day yesterday where the Mets lost 5-4 in 9 innings. Cubs coming up with a run in the bottom of the 9th on a pinch hit single by Chris Spire. Today, different story. 3-0 New York, and the batter Rafael Santana. He singled in a run back in the 4th inning, went to second on the throw, and he takes a curveball inside and low. 1-0 to Rafael Santana. Ron Meredith on the mound. 1-1. Jams him with a fastball. Dunston again. Got him at first. You don't think he can't throw? I mean, he threw a seed over there then. 1 out.
And that was the only way he was going to get Santana, was to put a lot on it, and he's got a lot to put on it. I'll tell you, he's got some arm. Watch the way he gets himself in a position to throw with that little hop. Comes right over the top, and that ball rose as it went across the diamond. And Durham, who was ready to make a long stretch, had to back off and reach up for it.
Well, here's Dwight Gooden. Gooden 1 for 2 with an RBI. And a bunt attempt, and he bunts it foul. Dwight Gooden with 21 hits. It's the most ever by a Met pitcher. Tom Seaver had 18 back in '71.
I wonder if the wind was blowing out today, if Dwight would have been trying to bunt for a base hit.
Another jammer, another one to Dunston, and the sure throw this time gets him. So Dunston's had a busy day. 2 out. Dunston with 5 assists now, make that 6. And Mookie Wilson will be the batter. 2 out, nobody on. The Mets on top 3-0. Mookie 2 for 3. Scored the first run of the game after he doubled. He was driven in by Keith Hernandez's single. Tough year for Jim Fry. All the injuries that he's had. His first 4 starting pitchers have missed over 40 games because of injuries this year. Two 2-0 to Mookie Wilson.
There was some talk about Sutcliffe starting for the Cubs tomorrow, but now apparently that's been put on hold.
Mookie swings and misses at ball 3, so it's 2-1.
So maybe Sutcliffe is not 100%, and I'd have to believe that with the Cubs being out of it this late in the season, why risk further injury to Sutcliffe?
Grounder just foul down the line. So it's 2-2 to Mookie Wilson. Only action this afternoon in either league. Cincinnati over Atlanta 6-1. Cincinnati's having a whale of a year under Pete Rose. And the big game tonight in St. Louis will be John Tudor against Kevin Gross. Good matchup. Kevin Gross, the ace of the Phillies staff. Another one toward Dunston, but Say cuts it off and just gets Mookie Wilson. So Ron Meredith doing a good job in relief of Johnny Abrego. He retires the Mets in order here in the 6th, and after 5.5, it's 3-0 New York. Now here's a word from Newsday.
You haven't gotten any better.
In this tough town, giving it your all is what counts. So thanks, Gary. Thanks, New York Newsday.
Here's your New York Newsday. Hey, Gary!
Is this the way they deliver papers in New York?
More late sports, more city news, more neighborhood news than ever before.
They sure have a great sports section.
Look for the introductory offer at your newsstand now. New York News Day. More than the news.
As you look at some of the nice buildings that line the north shore of Lake Michigan here in Chicago, we remind you to join John Biner for Channel 9's Late Night Laughter with Bazaar tonight at 11. He's weird.
I was going to say they ought to change the name of that show to Weird. This is a bizarre show. John Biner, very funny man. Curveball to Jody Davis is high. 1-0 to Jody. He's 0 for 2. Steve Engel warming up in the Cubs bullpen. 2-0 to Jody Davis. 3-0. New York leads. The Cubs with 6 hits. The Mets with 9. Swing and a miss. 2-1 to Jody Davis. High chopper foul. 2-2 to Jody. Mets scored 1 in the first, 2 in the fourth. The Cubs had base runners in the first 4 innings. I mean, good chances to score in innings 1, 2, and 3. They stranded 6 through the first 3. You don't get many second chances against Dwight Gooden. That's a motorized cart. Oh, no, there he is.
I thought that thing was a runaway.
Base hit up the middle. A solid single to center by Jody Davis. And he's the leadoff runner here in the 6th inning, and the batter, Leon Durham.
Dwight Gooden has had some balls hit pretty hard off of him today, but so far has managed to survive unscathed. However, that's the leadoff runner aboard for Chicago.
That's also the 7th hit for the Cubs. Leon Durham, the batter. Leon has struck out and grounded to second. Fastball is inside. 1-0. Steve, Dwight Gooden has not given up this many hits since back on August 20th, when he gave up 7 to the Giants in a win at Shea. High chopper foul. He has never given up more than 9 hits this season, and he's given up 9 only 3 times this year. And he's given up 8 only 2 times this year. So in only 5 of his 34 starts has he given up 8 or more hits. As we look at Jay Balla, the right-hander, now joining Dave Engel, or Steve Engel. 1-1 to Leon Durham.
The Hernandez.
Swing and a miss, 1-2.
Hernandez sort of toying with Jody Davis at first, semi-holding him on, letting him know he's there. Davis occasionally will reach back and knock Hernandez's glove away.
Curveball misses, 2-2. Gooden has struck out only 3 this afternoon. He's walked 1. For most guys, it's a well-pitched game. For Dwight Gooden, it's a struggle. Curveball outside and low, 3-2.
This is the kind of day when Dwight might be inclined to have more of a problem, because he prefers the warm weather. It usually takes him a little longer to get loose and be throwing full and easy than it does other pitchers, and it's been tough for him today to really get into his rhythm.
Fastball is high. Second walk issued by Gooden. And now the Cubs have runners at first and second and nobody out. And the batter, Ron Say, with good power. But remember, the wind is blowing in. Blowing in from left field. Say has doubled and flied to center. Ronnie batting only .234 on the year. Gives you an idea of how cold it is out here at Wrigley. Got those big, thick gloves on. See, Roger McDowell looks like he's getting ready to go in there. Taking his gloves off. 2 sets. Start tying your shoes a little tighter. Curveball is low. Cubs had threatened in every inning but the 5th when they were retired in order. Davis at second, Durham at first, nobody out, 1-0 to Say, and the score 3-0 New York.
And the Mets playing the infield in double play depth. They're looking to turn 2 in one way or another, depending on where the ball is hit.
Right on the corner, 1-1. Right on the corner, strike 2. So 2 pitches in virtually the same spot. And it's 1-2 to Ron Say.
More often than not, Dwight has been able, with men on base, and he's demonstrated that a number of times today, to reach back for something extra. And that's what he's trying to do right here.
Curveball missed. 2-2. Count was 1-2 to Leon Durham, and Dwight Gooden missed twice with curveballs, and then the fastball on the 3-2 count was high and tight. So it's 2-2 to Say. Davis at second, Durham at first, nobody out. St. Louis Cardinals' magic number is 7 now. Any combination of Cards wins and Mets losses that get to 7, and that's it. Mets are trying to prolong that and possibly catch the Cardinals. They do have their work cut out for them, but we've seen stranger things happen here in the National League and in the other league too. Yankees 14.5 behind the Boston Red Sox in '78 with a month and a half left. They caught the Red Sox and then beat them in that playoff game where Bucky Dent hit the 3-run homer. Dodgers in '62 had to win 1 of their last 4. They lost 4 in a row. Curveball missed, so it's 3-2 to Say. Astros in 1980 going into Dodger Stadium. They had to win only 1 game. They lost 3 in a row and then won it on Monday in the 1-game playoff. A lot of strange things can happen. Pop fly right side in foul territory, and it's going to be out of play. So it's still 3-2 to Say. Initially, when this ball was hit, it looked as if it might
remain in foul territory and in play. There's not much room down there, and with the wind blowing from left to right, it pushed it back into the stands considerably.
Nobody out. Cubs have runners at first and second. 3-0 New York. Bottom of 6. Mets will go on to Pittsburgh from here. Then after an off day on Monday, 3 big games against the Cardinals next week, and we'll carry them all right here on WOR. This ball's playable. Fly ball to right. Strawberry over. Makes the catch. Davis not going anywhere. So a big out for Dwight Gooden, and the batter will be Billy Hatcher.
And the Mets are going to have another little infield conference. Hernandez asking Carter to come on out as they talk over how they're going to play it now with 1 out.
Well, that's interesting because there's not but one way to play it.
Double play.
Yeah. Maybe talking about the possibility of a bunt with Hatcher. That requires only one guy, and that's Howard Johnson. Dwight looking in the on-deck circle and sees no one there. Now pitcher Ron Meredith coming out, and obviously he will not hit. No, it's Richie Hebner. Hatcher 1 for 2 on the afternoon. Fastball right on the corner. Hatcher lined a curveball to left back in the second, and he flied to right. In that Pittsburgh series, by the way, Mets will be facing Bob Kipper, Bob Walk, and Lee Tunnell. Foul ball, 0-2 to Billy Hatcher. The Mets will be sending Ed Lynch tomorrow night, Rick Aguilera Saturday afternoon, and Sid Fernandez on Sunday. Then they'll have the big guns. Dwight Gooden moving ahead of Ron Darling in the rotation. Pitched the first game in St. Louis Tuesday night, and then Darling will be working on Wednesday. That is to give Gooden the extra day, so if necessary, he'll pitch the last day of the season. 0-2 to Hatcher. Fouls another one away.
And the Mets, of course, are hoping that the weather does not become a problem down the stretch here, because all these finely tuned plans could be messed up in a hurry if we had a few days of rain.
Forcing them into a doubleheader situation.
Right.
Swing and a miss. He gets Hatcher on the fastball. 4th strikeout for Gooden. And with 2 out, the pinch hitter for the pitcher, Ron Meredith, Richie Hebner.
Well, here's some straight gas from the doctor. And he just has that ability to rear back and fire with even a little more than normal when he has to.
Richie Hebner had a great line while the Cubs were hitting before the game. He said, you know, the Mets might win 98 games this year. Very quite conceivably could win 98 and lose the thing. He said, if they'd have told you that in spring training, you'd have said people were crazy. He was right. Take 98 wins every year and take your chances.
Boy, that's for sure.
Mets with 92 coming into this game, but the Cardinals have 96 wins with 10 games to play. 0-1 to Hebner.
Richie's had 12 pinch hits and 12 pinch hit RBIs this year, including 1 home run.
Leads the National League in pinch hit RBIs. And he fouls this one back, so it's 0-2. Hebner in the hole.
He and Thad Bosley have both done a pretty good job pinch hitting. Bosley has 19 pinch hits, and that leads the league in that department.
And in about a month, Richie will be involved, just getting started on his winter job.
Digging holes in the ground.
Told me before the game that he's got to make sure he digs enough of them before the permafrost sets in. Well, he goes down on strikes here. For those of you who don't know, Richie's a grave digger during the off-season. Quite appropriate hitting against Dwight Gooden because he's buried some National League hitters this year. No runs a hit, 2 left here in the 6th. And it's 3-0 New York after 6. Now here's a word from Busch Beer.
Back at the friendly confines as we go to the top half of the 7th inning. New York and Dwight Gooden out in front of the Cubs, 3-0. And as we go to the 7th, the new pitcher for Chicago, and back in to call it, here's Ralph Kiner.
Okay, the new pitcher is Steve Engel. He has a record of 1 win and 5 losses. He has no saves. An earned run average of 6.04. This is his 10th ball game. His 2nd time in relief. He has worked 47 2/3 innings. He has given up 60 hits while walking 25 and striking out 27. And Engel will be pitching to Wally Backman as his first batter. Meredith working 3 2/3 innings, did not give up a base hit to the New York Mets. The Mets had 2 base runners. And Backman takes a curveball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Wally in this ball game 1 for 3, singled in the 1st. Engel from Springdale, Ohio, and strike 2, 1-2. He was the Cubs' 5th round selection in the June 1983 draft. And this is his first year in the major leagues. And the breaking ball, 2 balls, 2 strikes. And there you see Rick Sutcliffe, tomorrow's pitcher. Outstanding year for the Cubs last year. Lost only 1 ball game. That was to his former club, the Dodgers.
And John Tudor of the Cardinals doing pretty much what Sutcliffe did last year, this year for St. Louis.
And Backman struck out, batting left-handed against the left-hand pitcher. That'll bring up Keith Hernandez.
Well, Wally has struggled since abandoning his switch hitting a little bit against left-handers, and that's indicative of that at-bat, not just that 1 pitch, indicative of that struggle he's been having.
Hernandez in this game 1 for 2 with a walk. And he has the game-winning RBI at this point in the ball game, with the Mets leading by a score of 3-0. Keith has set a new major league record for game-winning RBIs with 23. Has a chance to pick up 24 here in today's ball game. And that pitch he called strike. It's 1-1.
I think Keith had an interesting comment, Ralph, after he broke that record with his 23rd. He said that it'd be interesting to go back and look, since the institution of that record, how many game-winning RBIs have come from the 7th inning on.
That would be a more meaningful stat. Ground ball to the second baseman Sandberg, and is sort of first base for the out. So Engel has retired his first 2 batters, and now will take on Gary Carter. Carter 0 for 2 with a walk today. Mets leading by a score of 3-0. We're in the bottom half of the 7th inning. Make it the top half of the 7th inning. Engel started his pro career in 1983. So he's made it to the major leagues in a hurry. Fastball, it's over to Sandberg's side of the field. He takes it out of the air, and that'll retire the side. 1-2-3 inning for Engel, and the score at the end of 6.5 innings, the Mets 3, the Cubs nothing. Now here's a word from Newsday.
New York fans are great. Right! But You haven't gotten any better.
In this tough town, giving it your all is what counts. So thanks, Gary. Thanks, New York Newsday.
Here's your New York Newsday. Hey, Gary!
Is this the way they deliver papers in New York?
More late sports, more city news, more neighborhood news than ever before.
They sure have a great sports section.
Look for the introductory offer at your newsstand now. New York Newsday. More than the news.
If you're a Mets fan, you want to know that Fan Appreciation Day will be held on Saturday afternoon, October 5th, when the Mets meet the Montreal Expos at 1:30. And all fans will receive a blue and orange knit scarf, courtesy of Pure Later Courier, the name to remember in Overnight Express. The Mets will also stage a game-long giveaway, and one lucky fan may drive away this sporty Nissan pickup truck. Compliments of Nissan and your local New York, New Jersey, Connecticut Nissan Datsun dealers. Also that day, the first 40,000 adults through the gates will receive a 160-page book full of discounts in the metropolitan area. That's Pure Later Fan Appreciation Day, Saturday afternoon, October 5th. The Mets and the Expos at Shea. General admission tickets on sale now at Shea's advanced ticket window. And among the prizes on Fan Appreciation Day, a pair of lucky fans will each win a 5-day stay at Spring Training 1986 in St. Petersburg, Florida, with airfare courtesy of U.S. Air and hotel arrangements at the Trade Winds on St. Pete Beach, Tampa Bay's first choice oceanfront resort hotel. So we'll see you at Shea on Fan Appreciation Day, Saturday, October 5th.
And the bottom of the 7th to come your way here from Wrigley Field. Last ball game that the Mets will have with the Cubs. Cubs have drawn 2,071,149 so far this year. Last year they set their all-time attendance figure as they drew 2,107,655. And the crowd here today around 10,000.
And the Cubs have been a great road draw also this year, Ralph.
Exciting looking ball club. Of course, they almost got to the World Series for the first time since 1945 when they had a 3-0 lead in the 6th inning with Sutcliffe on the mound in the final game with the Padres. But the Padres came back to win it by a score of 6-3, and the Padres went to the World Series with Detroit. Just got a message about game-winning RBIs from Blake Cullen of the National League office, special assistant to the president, Chub Phenia. 38% of the game-winning RBIs are from the 7th inning on. Bob Denier, the batter, and the count at strike 2 on Denier, who's 0 for 3 today.
Well, was that higher or lower than you thought?
That would be a little higher than I thought.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe 25 to 30% would have been my guess. But perhaps someday in the near future they will in some way change that game-winning RBI stat, the way in which they score it.
Well, it does have a mark of comparison to it as you can get the game-winning RBI in the first inning, such as Keith Hernandez has it right now in this ball game, driving in the first run of the ball game. 1-2 the count to Denier, and the fastball fouled away.
Of course, a game-winning RBI is not awarded in every ball game because if, for example, a tie game were to be broken, if a run scored on a wild pitch or an error or something along those lines, there wouldn't be any.
And a ground ball at Backman, and it's off his glove and out into shallow right field. So Denier on an error. And once again, the Cubs have runners on base.
This ball is smoked right at Wally. And it really doesn't have much of a true hop to it. Backman tried to stay with it, and it came up and hit him right on the heel of the glove or the wrist, and it will be an error on Backman.
That is only the 6th error made by Backman all year long. And it brings up Sean Dunston, who's had a base hit and 2 official times up, also has walked. In only 1 inning has Dwight retired the Cubs in order. And the fastball to Dunston fouled off. Dunston has hit in 7 consecutive ball games. And he has 2 hits off Gooden in his major league career. This is only the second time he has faced Gooden. Denier, the runner at first base. And the curveball over, called strike. Cold day here in Chicago. Temperature in the high 50s. Denier has good speed. The runner at first base, no one out. Mets leading 3-0. Toss over.
And obviously, pitchers have been allowed today to blow on their hand as Gooden continues to do that inside the pitching circle.
Fastball struck him out. So Gooden gets his 6th strikeout. He has struck out 3 of his last 4 batters.
Well, over his first 2 years in the big leagues, Dwight Gooden has shown the ability to get stronger as the game goes along. And even though he's had shaky moments in this ball game, he appears to be doing that again. Even on a cold day like today, he's heating up.
And his next batter will be Ryne Sandberg, who has a base hit and 3 times up. And the fastball for ball 1.
Sandberg's been red hot. He came into this game hitting .400 over his last 26 games. He and Keith Moreland have been just about the major offensive punch for Chicago the last month or 2.
Cubs at one point this season losing 13 games in a row, tying their longest losing streak ever. And the Mets contributed to the losing streak and also stopped it. Cubs did not win a ball game at Shea Stadium all year long. They were 0-9. The only time the Mets have ever defeated a ball club 9 times in their ballpark. They have defeated the Dodgers and Padres in a home season series, but they were just 6-game series. Denier at first base, getting some attention. 2-0, the count to Sandberg. And another throw to first.
Sandberg has 30 stolen bases. Obviously, outstanding speed, but with the Cubs down by 3 runs, you have to wonder.
Denier, that is. And here's the pitch, and it's ball 3. 3 balls, no strikes.
Did I say Sandberg?
Yeah. Sandberg also fine stolen base man. He has 52 stolen bases. That's a new record for a Cubs second baseman, breaking the record of 49 held by Johnny Evers. 3-0 the count. And the fastball a strike. Mets have had 175 stolen bases. They've been successful 79% of the time, which is an amazing success ratio. 70 is about the average. Of course, Davey Lopes contributing to that record. Lopes with 3 stolen bases in yesterday's game. This ball popped up. Strawberry in right field. Backman making the call. And the catch, and 2 men away. Denier stays at first base, and the batter will be Keith Moreland. Moreland 1 for 3 today.
Moreland now with a 15-game hitting streak, and his 94 RBIs, a career high for him this year. He's been Mr. Production as far as Chicago's been concerned this season.
Not bad for a University of Texas football star.
11,091. 11091.
Paid attendance 11,191 here in the ballpark today. And Moreland gets a curveball for ball 1. Mets leading 3-0. And the fastball for ball 2. 2 balls, no strikes. Cubs in day ball games with a record of 42-54. They usually dominate in day ball games, playing, of course, all their games at home as they have no lights in the daytime. And the fastball hit out to center field. Mookie Wilson right there. And Moreland is out. No runs, no hits in there, and 1 man left on the score at the end of 7. The Mets 3 and the Cubs nothing. Now here's a word from Texaco.
Well, with Mets baseball coming up this weekend for you here on WOR, we want to remind you of a time change. Tomorrow night, of course, scheduled time, 8 o'clock airtime here on Channel 9. But then on Saturday, what was to be a 7 o'clock game has been changed. And Saturday afternoon's game, airtime, 3 o'clock Eastern time from Pittsburgh, right here on Channel 9.
And right here on Channel 9, Darryl Strawberry to lead off. The Mets leading 3-0. And Steve Engel starting his second inning, worked his first inning in order, and missing with his first pitch to Strawberry. Darryl 1 for 3 today. And the breaking ball, 1 ball, now 2. Strawberry singled to left field back in the first inning, grounded out in the 4th, was called out on strikes in the 5th. And a good fastball, 2 balls, 1 strike. Swing and a miss, so it's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Darryl's had a lot of those almost half swings lately. Sort of a lazy pass at the ball. Just hasn't been right.
And it goes to 3-2. So full count to Strawberry with Danny Heap on deck. And ball 4. So the Mets get a base runner, and they get their first man on base against Engel. 4th walk in this game by Cub pitchers. And it brings up Danny Heap, who has walked, singled, and grounded out. And instead of Heap is going to be Tom Pachorik as a pinch hitter.
And for that reason, Jim Fry is out of the dugout immediately to go to the right-hander. As soon as Pachorik was announced, Fry was out of the dugout.
And it's Jay Baller coming in the ball game. Jay in yesterday's game. So Engel credited with 1 inning of work, charged with just 1 walk. And Ballard coming in the game to take over with the right-hand batter announced in the ballgame. Jim Fry, the manager.
Ballard has a record of 1-3 and a 2.83 ERA. This is his 14th appearance since coming up to the big leagues. Picked up 1 save. He's worked 41 1/3 innings, giving up 40 base hits. He's walked 14, struck out 19, and yielded 4 home runs. And he becomes the 4th Chicago pitcher.
And he'll be pitching to Tom Pachorik, a right-hand batter. After him, Howard Johnson, the switch hitter. Mets leading 3-0. Cardinals playing tonight against the Philadelphia Phillies. Kevin Gross going for the Phillies against the left-hander John Tudor. Tudor with a chance to become a 20-game winner tonight, has a record of 19-8. Dwight Gooden leads all Major League pitchers with 22 victories and only 4 losses. Then in the National League, Joaquin Andújar with a record of 21-9. Another 20-game winner, Ron Guidry of the Yankees. Last year, only one 20-game winner in baseball, and that was Joaquin Andujar. So he has put together back-to-back 20-game seasons. Tom Paciorek, the batter. Tom hitting .292 with 1 home run and 10 RBIs. Came to the Mets from the south side of Chicago, the Chicago White Sox.
And Tom, as a pinch hitter, is 3 for 11 with 2 pinch hit RBIs this year. Since joining the Mets, anyway.
Paciorek, a good hit and run man. Strawberry running, the ball swung on and missed, and the throw to second is in time. Second base umpire Billy Williams calls Strawberry out.
Well, the Mets are 0 for 2 in stolen base attempts in this ball game. Even though this throw is to the shortstop side, look at Dunston get the tag down in a hurry, and I don't know. That's a pretty close play. Let's see from this angle if Strawberry's foot is on the bag before Dunston tags him.
Looked like he was safe. The pitch back to Paciorek is outside, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Mets have been successful 71% of the time in their stolen base attempts, but Davis having a good series against the Mets in this 2-game series. Fastball a called strike, and it's 1-2. He's really safe in this call.
Yeah, Darrell got that long leg in there, it looks like, and Dunston tagged him on top of the toe.
Now the fastball fouled back into the stands, and the count stays at 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Sometimes as an umpire, I guess that's how you'd have to make the call, is whether the glove is on top of the foot or under the foot. And that time it was right on top of the foot.
I'm surprised he would call him out with the throw being high and away from the bag. But Billy Williams said, "You're out." He has the last say. 1-2 pitch, a breaking ball, and Paciorek is struck out. That'll bring up Howard Johnson, and Johnson back to the left-hand side of the plate. Howard 1 for 3 today. That's got a run back in the first inning and then 2 more in the 4th. Knocking out the starting pitcher, Abrego, who came in with a record of 1-0. He is the pitcher of record on the losing side of this ball game. And a strike call. Breaking ball, grounded foul, strike 2. Magic number for the Cardinals is 7. Any combination of Cardinal wins and Met losses at total 7 would give the Cardinals the flag. National League champions with a magic number of 7. Fastball, grounded foul. Johnson's had 2 home runs against the Cubs this year. And this one popped up in foul territory. Ron Say giving chase. He can't get to it.
Might have been able to had the tarp not been there. The tarp stopped him rather abruptly.
Not much foul territory in this ballpark.
And there's not really a lot of fair territory either. That's why they call it the friendly confines.
Friendly confines of Wrigley Field. Beautiful Wrigley Field. And that's a ball. It's 1-2. Bert Wilson, one of the early broadcasters for the Cubs, always used to open up his broadcast with beautiful Wrigley Field. A picnic at the park. And did he swing? No swing, says John McSherry. So Big John indicated he did not go far enough.
I'll tell you, once you get that bat head started, it's awfully hard to stop it. And
Johnson nearly broke both of his wrists in trying to do just that, and I think got a break.
And now 2 balls and 2 strikes. And this one grounded to the second baseman, Ryan Sandberg, and that'll retire the side. No runs, no hits, no errors, and no one left on base. The score at the end of 7 1/2 innings. The Mets 3, the Cubs nothing. Now here's a word from Nissan. Well, we're going now to the bottom half of the 8th inning. The Mets leading by a score of 3-0. Dwight Gooden on the mound, trying to pick up his 23rd victory. He's lost 4. And as we go to the bottom of the 8th, coming in for the play-by-play, Steve Zabriskey.
Thanks, Ralph. I dare say that building was standing in that exact spot when Mr. Kiner was here, pumping balls out of this park.
What a place to play baseball.
Especially for a hitter, huh?
Great hitter's ballpark.
Tom Paciorek stays in the game in left field in place of Danny Heap. So the Mets outfield now, Paciorek, Wilson, and Strawberry. It'll be Jody Davis, Leon Durham, and Ron Say against the Doctor as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. It's 3-0 New York. Davis this afternoon is 1 for 3. He singled to center his last time up. He's also grounded out and struck out. The Cubs have gotten 7 base hits through the first 7 innings, and Dwight Gooden has struck out 6. That's high, ball 1. Ball 2. Uncharacteristically, Dwight has been behind the hitters quite a bit this afternoon.
Cubs have left 10 men on base in this game.
That's ripped but foul. 2 balls, 1 strike.
Gooden in his previous 42 game starts has a record of 30-5. Lefty Grove back in 1931 for the Philadelphia Athletics won 31 games and lost only 4 in the season.
Man, that might be tough to top.
1978, Ron Guidry won 25 and lost only 3. The all-time winning percentage in a single season, 18-1 by Elroy Face as a relief pitcher.
Fastball grounded foul, so the count evens now at 2-2.
1937, Johnny Allen for Cleveland had a record of 15-1, and his 1 loss came on the last day of the season.
What a crusher that must have been, huh? Nobody's ever made it through a season undefeated with any amount of victories.
No.
At least.
Phil Regan in relief was 14-1. That was back in 1966.
Breaking ball. And Dwight Gooden picks up strikeout number 7. And there's 1 out here in the 8th inning.
There's the K corner in Wrigley Field.
Except the official keepers of the K's aren't here. Leon Durham fouls the first one back for strike 1.
There are a group of Notre Dame University law students here from the New York area. Biggest representation, I would have to say.
Yeah, it's not that far a drive from South Bend up here to Chicago. Durham is 0 for 2 plus a walk. Grounded up the middle. Backman can't come up with it. Wally Backman, who's been almost flawless, commits his 2nd error of the game.
Oh, Wally has a tough play to make here. It's a backhand pickup, but he was ready to make it, and the ball scooted under his glove. Wally has made 7 errors this year, 2 of them in this ballgame.
In back-to-back innings. So a runner at first in Leon Durham with 1 away for Ron Say, who has doubled in 3 trips. He's also flied to center and flied to right.
And only 1 inning has Gooden worked a 1-2-3 inning. That was back in the 5th.
Mets lead it 3-0 with 1 out in the bottom of the 8th inning. And the breaking ball grounded to third. It could be 2. Johnson with Ackman to Hernandez. And just that quickly, Dwight Gooden and the Mets are out of it here in the 8th inning. No hits, 1 error, and no one left on base. 3-0 New York as we go to the 9th inning after this for Manufacturers Hanover.
This is News 9 Update.
Good afternoon, everybody. Lloyd Lindsay Young in the Channel 9 newsroom with a hurricane update. Gloria is now about 200 miles south of Cape Hatteras, North Carolina. A hurricane watch is in effect for the entire metropolitan area for tomorrow. The hurricane is packing winds of 130 miles per hour and is moving towards the north-northwest between 15 and 20 miles an hour. Stay tuned to Channel 9 throughout the afternoon and evening and join us at 8 o'clock.
New York leading Chicago 3-0. And for the Mets in the 9th, it'll be Rafael Santana, Dwight Gooden, and Mookie Wilson to face Jay Baller. You don't think it's cold? Check that out. Say, I'm not even sure who that is.
I think it's the center fielder, Len Dykstra.
Might be. But he expresses my sentiments exactly. Rafael Santana 1 for 3 with an RBI single in the 4th inning. He's grounded out his other 2 times up. Strike 1. Strike 2. And strike 3. 3 pitches, 1 out here in the 9th. Jay Baller picks up his 2nd strikeout.
He has now pitched to 3 batters and picked up 4 outs.
That's what I call economy. And here's the doctor who's 1 for 3. Dwight, hitting .233 on the year now, is hitting .500 over the last 5 games in which he has played. 8 for 16 with a home run and 7 RBIs in the last 5 games. Sounds like you're talking about an outfielder instead of a pitcher.
Well, he could do like Babe Ruth, pitch about 6 years, then go to the outfield.
Tell you what, strike called. It's 0-2. Some drastic would have to happen to get him off the mound, though.
Well, Ruth was a great left-handed pitcher.
True. Strike 3. Jay Baller has thrown 6 pitches, 6 strikes, and there are 2 out. So Mookie Wilson will saunter to the batter's box. Give Dwight Gooden at least a momentary rest.
In the bottom of the 9th inning, the Mets leading 3-0. The Cubs will be going to their pinch hitters. They have the bottom of the batting order coming up.
Mookie Wilson fouls the first one off for strike 1. Hebner's been used, so I'm sure we'll see Thad Bosley.
Number 1 pinch hitter in the National League this year.
They have Davey Lopes, Gary Matthews. They are right-handed hitters.
Eight straight strikes thrown by Baller here in this inning.
That's the first ball, so it's 1-2. Mookie's 2 for 4. He has a double, a single, and a run scored. And is it fair or foul? Fair ball, says first base umpire Randy Marsh. I don't think the ball had crossed the bag, and Mookie Wilson's arguing with Charlie Williams, as it should be the home plate umpire's call until it does go past the bag. But Mookie's out of there. He can't believe it. 1-2-3 here in the 9th for New York. They still lead it 3-0. We'll go to the bottom of the 9th after this for Busch Beer. Billy Hatcher, pinch hitter Thad Bosley, and Bob Dernier will be facing Dwight Gooden as we go to the bottom of the 9th inning here in Chicago, and a great look at the loop, the skyline of what they call the Heartland here in the Midwest. 3-0 New York leading.
And the tallest building in the world, Sears Building.
John Hancock Center's no slouch either. Hatcher's 1 for 3. He singled to left back in the 2nd. Since then, he's flied to right and struck out swinging. And the fastball lofted into left center. Mookie Wilson over and back, 1 away. And here's Thad Bosley, who leads the National League in pinch hits.
Bosley with 19 pinch hits. In his last 19 games, he's hitting .366.
Overall hitting .329.
And .339 as a pinch hitter.
And he skies one to center field. 2 away in the 9th inning. Dwight Gooden going after his 15th complete game and 8th shutout of the year. John Tudor has the most shutouts. Tudor pitching tonight for St. Louis leads the National League with 9. And Dwight Gooden right now tied with Fernando Valenzuela for the most complete games with 14. But he will have to get Bob Dernier, who is 0 for 4. Then take strike 1. And a line drive base hit to center field. Dernier will be at first with 2 out here in the bottom of the 9th inning. That's the 8th Chicago hit.
Dwight has 7 strikeouts. He has walked 2.
Sean Dunston singled to right back in the 1st. Since then, he walked, and Gooden has struck him out his last 2 times up. And a curveball is in there for strike 1. And again, that was that little bit different curveball route.
Very sharp breaking curveball. 2 times that he has struck out Dunston, he struck him out with fastballs.
Dernier not being held on at first, and the fastball blown right by him, and it's strike 2. Gooden with his 7 Ks has 258 now on the season for a comfortable lead in that department. And a ground ball to third. Johnson will go to second, and the Mets win it 3-0. Dwight Gooden is now 23-4. He wins his 23rd game by picking up his 15th complete game and 8th shutout of the year, and his ERA drops to a league-leading 1.51. So the Mets will at least keep pace with the red-hot St. Louis Cardinals as the doctor, although it wasn't easy, comes up with another winning performance. Ralph and I'll be right back to wrap it up as the Mets have won it over Chicago 3-0. Now here's a word from Amtrak.
Dwight Gooden does it again as the Mets win by a score of 3-0. His 8th shutout in his major league career here this year. And Dwight Gooden coming up with an earned run average of 1.51. He leads the major leagues in that department. And the Mets winning by a score of 3-0. Keith Hernandez got the game-winning RBIs. He drove in a run in the 1st inning, the 24th game-winning RBI this year for Keith, and that's a new record. And an outstanding game by Dwight Gooden. A little unusual for Dwight. He left 11 men on base.
Well, he allowed more base runners than usual. That was part of the reason, but he was able to suck it up at the right time, put a little extra on the ball. He didn't overpower too many hitters. And there were some balls hit pretty hard off of him. I'd have to say, Ralph, that a lot of it has to do with the cold weather because he didn't really look to be loose and into his rhythm. But it's a good sign that the doctor can still win when he really doesn't have his overpowering stuff. And they're obviously going to need, the Mets that is, every single victory they can get from here on out, the 9 games remaining, the way the Cardinals are playing.
Well, the magic number is 7. Any combination of Met losses or Cardinal wins that total 7 will give it to the Cardinals, so the Mets keep close. They're now 3.5 games back. So once again, the final score, the New York Mets 3 and the Chicago Cubs nothing.
Our guest on the show will receive a gift certificate from John Gerald Jewelers, where you'll find fine jewelry, watches, and diamonds. Visit John Gerald Jewelers, where the sports crowd shops. John Gerald throughout Long Island, Queens, and Brooklyn. And from Wayne Scott, young men's shirts, sweaters, knits, and sets designed to make you look good, because you never get a second shot at a first impression. Wayne Scott. Ralph?
New York Mets baseball has been brought to you by Busch Beer, the beer with a taste as smooth as its name. By Nissan, builders of technologically advanced cars and trucks for over 50 years. For the drivers who demand quality, the name is Nissan. And by Manufacturers Hanover, the financial source worldwide. Be with us again tomorrow night when the Mets take on the Pittsburgh Pirates at 8 o'clock right here on WOR TV. Mets Baseball 85 was produced by Bill Webb, directed by Arnie Harris, Associate Director Ralph Berger. Promotional consideration was provided by True Value Hardware Stores and Home Centers, bringing the world beautiful music with the Sanyo multi-band, multi-voltage stereo radio cassette recorder. Mets Baseball 85 is a production of Channel 9 Sports. Production facilities arranged through Banda Communications. The announcers on the preceding telecast were approved and contracted for by Doubleday Sports Incorporated. Now this is Ralph Guider for Tim McCarver and Steve Zabriskey saying so long from Chicago.
Heiner's Corner is brought to you by Mitsubishi Motors. Mitsubishi takes you where you want to be. By NatWest USA, the people and the resources you need today. And by Texaco, makers of Texaco Super Unleaded. When you're on the road, trust your car to the products with a star.
And we got a special edition of Heiner's Corner coming your way from Wrigley Field, and we'll have as a special guest Nelson Doubleday, the owner of the New York Mets. We'll look at the standings and also check out what's going on in baseball right down the line. And we'll be back with Nelson Doubleday in just a moment, right after this commercial message. And our special guest on this special edition of Heiner's Corner is Nelson Doubleday. Nelson Doubleday bought the ball club 5 years ago. And Nelson, here you are in a pennant race, and in only 5 years, that's really amazing.
Well, it is, and it's a great tribute to Frank and Al Harrison, Joe McIlvaine, and Lou Gorman, who started it all, for what they've accomplished over these 5 years.
They really have done a job, and of course the Mets are 4 games out. Are you here for moral support?
I'm here because we have some baseball meetings starting tonight, and watching the ball team is much more fun than sitting at a desk.
Well, you've been a baseball fan all your life. There's no doubt about that, and also a sports fan. But here we are, 5 years that you've owned the ball club, an independent race, and of course the Mets are really back to the wall right at this moment, 4 games down to the St. Louis Cardinals, who are playing outstanding baseball. Have you gotten to the point where you're looking toward next year?
Well, we're always looking towards next year, and we're at a point right now where we can't really do much. whether a ball bounces one way or whether somebody wins or somebody loses. There isn't much you can do. It just happens day to day. But we're always looking forward, and I think that the thing I'm proudest of is that we promised the fans in New York that we were going to make the team competitive, and I think we fulfilled that promise.
You certainly have done that. Last year, 90 victories, and here this year, so far, 92 victories, and certainly in a pennant race, and the fans certainly have to be happy with the way this ball club has been put together. Of course, you've had some outstanding baseball players. Dwight Gooden would be the first one you think of, also Darryl Strawberry.
That's true, and again, you got to go back to Frank Cashin, because he's the man, and his system found these rookies, and there are more in the system, as we saw the other day with the Doubleday Awards. We've got a pretty good crew of rookies in the minor leagues, and that's a real tribute to Frank and his staff.
Mr. Doubleday, what about the future of baseball? The baseball strike was settled with just 2 days of baseball non-action, and here we are looking at baseball down the line, and you have a game that's probably at its peak right now in the history of the game.
Well, I think that's true, and I think we have more interest in baseball this summer than we've ever had before, and I think it was very important that we all settled that strike as fast as we did. And my hat goes off to the Lee McPhail, who really did all the work for it, and I think it's important. I think the future of baseball is in good hands right now. I think we are addressing ourselves to some cost control problems and really running it as a business as the way it should be run, and I think baseball has a very bright future.
And of course, there's always that dark cloud that's looming over the horizon, the cloud of dope addiction and that sort of thing. That's got to be a problem. It has to be resolved.
Oh, it does, and I think we'll see that the Players Association, the players and the ownership and the management of baseball will all get together and find a way to lick it. It has to be beaten. We have to get the drugs out of baseball.
We're talking with Mr. Doubleday, the president and owner of the ball club, and we'll be back in just a moment right after this commercial message from Texaco. We're talking with Nelson Doubleday, the owner of the New York Mets, and certainly a very happy owner, even though the Mets are trailing by 4. Any special message for today's baseball game?
No, it's just nice to be back in Wrigley Field. The first baseball game I saw with the Mets was here, and it's nice to be back.
Well, you're back here at Wrigley Field, an overcast day, a little bit of sunshine, and the Mets in a must-win situation.
For sure, and I hope they do.
Nelson Doubleday, and we'll be back in just a moment with the standings and also take a look at the games coming up after this message from Nat West.
I've got exciting news for you baseball fans, thanks to Populator Courier.
Ralph, that's Purolator Courier.
Right. One lucky fan and his or her guest will attend the first 2 World Series games, airfare and hotel included. To win, send your name and address on a postcard to Purolator Courier, World Series trip, care of New York Mets, Shea Stadium, Flushing, New York, 11368. Send your entry no later than October 1st. The winner will be announced on Kiner's Corner, October 1st.
In our special edition of Kiner's Corner here from Wrigley Field prior to the baseball game, we'll take a look at the standings. The St. Louis Cardinals are leading the New York Mets by 4 full games. Cardinals have a record of 96 and 56. The Mets have a record of 92 and 60. Montreal 17 games out, Philadelphia 24, and Chicago 24. So the Cubs have something to gain here as they play the Mets, and they could go ahead of the Philadelphia Phillies. Pittsburgh in last place. They trail by 43. In the Western Division of the National League, the Dodgers are leading the Cincinnati Reds by 6, Houston by 11, San Diego by 12, Atlanta by 26.5, and San Francisco by 30. And, of course, the games coming up for the New York Mets, all are very important. They have this one here today with the Chicago Cubs. Then they go to Pittsburgh for 3. They'll be playing a night game on Friday night at 7:30, a Saturday afternoon game with Pittsburgh at 3:20, and then a Sunday afternoon game with the Pirates. Then a day off, and then it's the St. Louis Cardinals on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night. All those games will be coming your way at 8:30 New York time. And then the Mets, after that series, will return to Shea Stadium, and they'll be taking on the Montreal Expos for the final 3 games of the series. And, of course, the Mets hoping that they will be the big games of the year for the New York Mets. The Cardinals have 10 remaining ball games. They play in Philadelphia, I should say in St. Louis against the Phillies tonight, then a weekend series against the Expos Friday, Saturday, and Sunday afternoon. Monday an off day, then Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday they'll be against the Mets and close out their regular season with 3 games against the Cubs at Busch Stadium. Those 3 games with Montreal will be in Montreal. In the National League, the Cincinnati Reds will be playing the Atlanta Braves. It'll be Andy McGaffigan on the mound for
Cincinnati and Steve Bedrosian will be going for the Braves. Then also at Three Rivers Stadium, the starting pitchers for that ball game for the Pirates, it'll be Rick Rhoden on the mound. He's won 9 and lost 14. Montreal Expos will be going with Bill Gullickson. He has a record of 13 and 11. At Busch Stadium in St. Louis, the Cardinals will be going with their left-handed ace, John Tudor. He has a record of 19 and 8 for the year. And Kevin Gross, probably the best pitcher that the Philadelphia Phillies have at this point, with a record of 14 and 11, will be going against the Cardinals. Those are the only games scheduled in the National League. In the American League, the Yankees at Yankee Stadium will be playing the Detroit Tigers. It'll be Bob Shirley on the mound for the Yankees and Walt Terrell going for Detroit. Shirley with a record of 5 and 4, and Walt Terrell with a record of 13 and 10 for the year. At Oakland, in Alameda, then it will be the Oakland A's against the Chicago White Sox. At Arlington Stadium in Texas, it'll be the Texas Rangers against the Minnesota Twins. And then at County Stadium in Milwaukee, it'll be the Milwaukee Brewers against the Baltimore Orioles. At the Kingdome in Seattle, it'll be the Mariners against Kansas City. Of course, a big race going right there against Kansas City against the California Angels. And at Exhibition Stadium in Toronto, Canada, the Blue Jays will be going against the Boston Red Sox. So that's the way it looks as we take a look at the situation. The Mets, of course, are 4 games back of the St. Louis Cardinals, and they'll be going here today with Dwight Gooden on the mound. Dwight with a record of 21 and 4, and going against him will be a right-handed pitcher, Johnny Abrego. So that's the story here at Wrigley Field in our special editions. Don't stay tuned for the ball game coming up your way.
Kiner's Corner has been brought to you by Mitsubishi Motors. Mitsubishi takes you where you want to be. And by Texaco, makers of Texaco Super Unleaded. When you're on the road, trust your car to the products with a star. Ralph's guest will receive a unique gift pack from Casio containing a mini keyboard print display hand calculator and a 100-metered water sport watch from Casio, a world leader in consumer electronics. And a gift from ATV stores who feature Gabriel's gas rider shocks for superior performance and control under all driving conditions. For Gabriel and auto, truck, and van accessories, shop ATV. Ralph Kiner's Wardrobe by Stanley Blacker. Kiner's Corner produced by Carl Churkin. Directed by Bill Webb. Stage manager, Curtis Reed. Production assistants, Steve Olbaum and Carlos Ortiz.